professor of the Ninja Academy. By teaching, I can become stronger. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76. The bathroom is not the place for fighting. Provide special training for students who are about to graduate and students with outstanding performance. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought for a while and said, I think Muayu, you still underestimate your ability. Why not do this, based on your special training plan, and then promote it to the genin who have graduated this year? If you are interested, you can join your special training plan. After that, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Muayu and asked, Muayu, what do you think? Since the third generation recognizes my ability so much, I will try my best, Muayu said respectfully. Muayu doesn't mind having too many students. He wishes he could teach hundreds of students a day. According to Muayu's inference, the number of students during the lecture will also affect the class reward, so he has a class reward when he teaches in the ninja school. When teaching Obito and others, if the number of students does not meet the standard, there will be no class reward. If all the fourth-year students are gathered, plus the outstanding students from other classes and some graduated genin, there will be no problem in getting more than 300 people. Muayu wants to know if it would be better to reward more than 200 people for taking classes together. Muayu, if you can do this special training well and improve the strength of students and genin, you don't have to wait until this year is over. You can be promoted to special jonin after the special training, Sarutobi Hiruzen said with a smile. If Muayu can keep replicating the teaching results of the first grade class, let alone the special jonin, the monitor of the teacher class, Sarutobi Hiruzen, can be replaced by Muayu. But when that time comes, he will have to talk to his old friend Danzo about Muayu's identity. The teachers of the ninja school can be members of the root, but the monitor of the teacher class cannot be a member of the root. I will notify the ninja school to cooperate with your work, and this matter will be carried out with you as the leader, Sarutobi Hiruzen said. Muayu thanked him with a grateful face, then walked to the backyard to take Asuma away to start training this weekend. Teacher Muayu, are you really going to hold a special training? Asuma asked curiously. He just happened to hear the conversation between the two. Since the third generation trusts me so much, I naturally can't let him down, Muayu said with a smile. I think the old man just wants you to be a laborer. You have students of the same grade, and there are also graduating genin. How tiring it is to teach so many people at once. Asuma stood up for Muayu, and he didn't even say how the salary will be calculated during the special training period. If the salary is the same as in normal times, you, teacher Muayu, will lose a lot. Hearing Asuma's words, Muayu thought that if Asuma was also a disciple, the trust level would probably be high, and he would start to help Muayu talk about Sarutobi Hiruzen. I'm not a teacher to make money. I just hope that students can be better, Muayu replied with a smile. If other teachers said this, Asuma would be dismissive and think that this person is easy to act. But when Muayu said this, Asuma felt it was natural. If it was just for money, Muayu could just go against him, and there was no need to do so much to get him to train. Since teacher Muayu really wants to organize special training, I must take my teammates to study hard at that time. Asuma said that he would bring his teammates to support Muayu. He is a genin who just graduated this year. To be fair, Asuma felt that Muayu might not be as strong as a jonin, but his teaching ability was definitely much better than that of his jonin teacher. Every weekend after training with Muayu, he felt that he had gained a lot. Studying with Muayu for a month would definitely be much more rewarding than their usual training. Kakashi, let's have a competition full of youth and passion. I understand the truth, but next time, can you please not come in when I'm taking a shower? Kakashi, who was lying in the bathtub, said speechlessly as he looked at Might Guy, who suddenly jumped out. He was also convinced. Why was the timing of Might Guy's appearance so shady? Because I was training during the day. I came here at this time, Might Guy explained. So can you go out first? Kakashi looked at Might Guy, who was explaining without moving and had a headache. Why did he feel that among his few friends, only Nohara Rin was a normal person? Might Guy walked out, and when he reached the door, he looked back curiously, which made Kakashi unable to hold back and threw a bottle at Might Guy. Next time I will definitely set a trap at the bathroom door, Kakashi warned Might Guy after taking a shower. Might Guy ignored Kakashi's words, clenched his fists and shouted with a face full of blood, "Kakashi, let's have another passionate battle with all our strength. This time my strength is different from before. If you are careless, you will lose. Go to the yard. I hope your strength is as strong as your mouth," Kakashi said lightly. "This time I got the first place in the grade of ninja school. Don't underestimate me." Might Guy raised his thumb and laughed. "Isn't it possible to get the first place in that kind of thing as long as you participate?" Kakashi, who has never failed in the ninja school exam, said calmly. The two walked into the yard, looked at each other and nodded to each other, and the battle began. Konoha Big Tornado. Might Guy knew that Kakashi was strong, so he used the latest chakra burst technique he learned to quickly rush to Kakashi and kick out a whirlwind kick. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar 6 = 9+_. Although I haven't completely learned how to shave, I can still speed up by using the shaving technique. Huh? This speed? Kakashi didn't expect Might Guy to be able to show such speed. He didn't have time to dodge, and directly blocked Might Guy's kick with his arm, and took a few steps back. Might Guy took advantage of the situation and rushed forward immediately, trying to prevent Kakashi from performing ninjutsu through the extreme offensive rhythm. But Kakashi is not Obito. Might Guy was surprised to find that he didn't gain an advantage in a physical battle, and gradually fell into a disadvantage. Konoha Whirlwind. Kakashi, who gradually turned the situation around, directly kicked Might Guy with a whirlwind kick and kicked him away. With a flash body technique, he directly put the kunai on Might Guy's neck. "Kakashi, your Konoha Whirlwind is a bit wrong," Might Guy honestly corrected. "It's enough to win the battle." Kakashi put away the kunai and said, "I just saw Guy use it a few times. How could he directly copy it perfectly?" Kakashi just wanted to avenge Might Guy's break-in in the bathroom and make him depressed. But he found that Might Guy didn't react at all when he was defeated by his own taijutsu. "As expected of my old enemy, he is too strong," Might Guy said proudly. In this battle, Kakashi didn't even use ninjutsu to defeat him. Kakashi didn't know what to say when he saw Might Guy's expression. If you didn't know, you might think that Might Guy won the battle. "I will be stronger next time I challenge you." Might Guy felt that the fire between the two of them had been ignited again. He said hello to Kakashi and ran to exercise directly. Kai's strength has increased a lot recently, Kakashi thought to himself as he looked at Might Guy's receding back. Might Guy's performance today surprised him a little. The kick at the beginning really made him a little confused. This would have been impossible before. Please read and vote for me. If you don't vote, it will expire. There will be another chapter later. Book recommendation: Killing the Immortal. The male protagonist has a succubus body, and his body fluids make women addicted. The author is the god of NTL. The author of Restricted Naruto has an original new book. Chapter 77 Might Guy's New Mission. "Okay, you look very good today." On Sunday morning, Miyu came to the place where he practiced daily and found that Might Guy had already arrived and was squatting with a big stone. "I think what you said before, Teacher Miyu, makes sense. Fighting with the strong can better transform the training results into your own strength. So last night, Might Guy told Miyu that he lost the challenge to Kakashi last night. "I am very happy that you can keep your words in your heart," Miyu said with a smile. "As long as you can keep working hard in the next period of time, I believe you will surpass your best friend and become the strongest, because you are a hard-working genius." Hard-working genius. Might Guy's body shook when he heard this word, and he felt that it was indeed appropriate to describe him. "With the help of Teacher Miyu, I am very confident in my path to becoming the strongest," Might Guy said with a bright smile. Every time he recalled the changes that happened to him, Might Guy understood the importance of Miyu. In fact, after being Miyu's disciple for a long time, even Might Guy and Obito, who were relatively slow, noticed something wrong. The strength that Miyu showed in front of them was not at the level that a Chunin teacher should have. But Might Guy didn't care about this. He could feel that Muyu was really doing it for his own good. Whenever the strength of these disciples improved significantly, he felt that Muyu was happier than them. In addition to Muyu, he had only seen similar performance in his father. With the guidance of teacher Muyu, Kakashi will be defeated sooner or later. Might Guy was very confident in himself and Muyu. Disciple Might Guy sets a training task. Training task: defeat Kakashi. Reward: depends on the completion of the task and the increase in strength during the task. Looking at the training task that finally popped up, Muyu nodded secretly in his heart. His idea was indeed correct. He had basically mastered the triggering mechanism of the training task. It has been more than 2 months since the first triggering of the training task. Muyu has learned some conditions of the training task through continuous testing. The training task mainly depends on the subjective will of the disciples. For example, Might Guy and Obito are easier to trigger, but Shisui is difficult. Because Shisui is too invincible among his peers, no one puts pressure on him. He has no goal to surpass, and the first place is also easy to take. Muyu once tried to get Shisui to spawn a training mission, but after trying for a long time, he just couldn't guide it out. Muyu guessed that the training mission might not be able to trigger some long-term goals. Otherwise, with Shisui's personality, it is not impossible to spawn a mission that changes the Uchiha's predicament. It may also be that the trust level is not high enough. The training mission can only be spawned at trust level 3, and there may be new changes at trust level 4. Although the training mission cannot be spawned now, Muyu still attaches great importance to Shisui. It may be because Shisui has better talent and practices more. Shisui's chakra grows very fast. At present, the chakra given by the apprentice to return to the master is the most, more than Obito and Might Guy combined. And Shisui is also the only disciple who has triggered the strength growth reward. Muyu estimated that it would take some time for Obito and Might Guy to trigger it. Not long after, Shisui also came to prepare for training. Seeing that both of them had arrived, Muyu called them together and started teaching shaving. Obito was the last to arrive. Seeing Might Guy and Shisui learning to shave, he couldn't help but envy him. But when he thought about the ticket fee and difficulty of the physical challenge, Obito had a headache again. You have to dodge quickly while maintaining your forward speed. While practicing the nature change, Obito thought about how to solve this problem. If he didn't solve the problem he encountered before, even if he challenged again, he would only get 3 more test papers. Go running at night in the future, it should be somewhat useful. Obito thought that he could strengthen his legs. Stronger legs not only run faster, but also make it less likely to get tired when using chakra. With Sarutobi Hiruzen, the 3rd generation Hokage, coming forward, the summer special training was quickly arranged. For the 4th grade students, if there are no special circumstances, all of them will return to school for special training, and outstanding students in other grades can refuse the invitation for special training. The main training target of this special training is not the genin who will graduate this year, nor the outstanding students in other grades, but the 4th grade students who will graduate soon. The ninja school directly sent teachers to notify and communicate with parents. Muyu felt that in this cruel ninja world, there should be no parents who don't want their children to be stronger. No matter how great the textbooks of Konoha say that ninjas are still an extremely dangerous profession. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. The news of the disappearance of the 3rd Kazekage has spread throughout Konoha. Anyone who knows a little about the current situation of the ninja world knows that a war is inevitable. Considering the previous friction between Kumagakure and Konoha, Konoha is unlikely to stay out of it. The specific selection of outstanding students in the grade is decided by Muyu. 8 students are selected from each grade. He directly asks the teachers to select them according to their actual combat scores. Because Muyu's 1st grade class has a strong dominance in the 1st grade, 4 people in Muyu's class were selected, namely Shisui, Hongdu, Gangziti, and Shinryu Izumo. Hongdu didn't know how others felt, but when the teacher came to tell her that she had to undergo another month of summer special training, she was very confused. This vacation has not even lasted a week. How can she start school again? Hongdu was fortunate that this summer special training only practiced actual combat, without theoretical classes, and was taught by her favorite teacher Muyu. There were basically no rejections for outstanding students in the grade. However, there were very few graduating genin who applied for special training, only a dozen or so. Muyu could understand that, compared to the Chunin teachers in the ninja school, most people would definitely trust their instructors after graduation more. Having a suspicious boss is a very troublesome thing. Because of this summer special training, Muyu also made a special separate report to Danzo about the whole process of this special training. After all, this matter is not a small matter. It is the first time that the ninja school has held a summer special training, and even the genin who graduated this year have been notified. Danzo seemed to think that Muyu completed the task very well, and while replying, he also rewarded Muyu with the secret medicine for root training. In the reply, Danzo said that Muyu should perform as well as possible so that the third generation can directly promote Muyu to become a special jonin. The rest is some meaningless pua content. Muyu can only say that the original owner may be touched after reading it, and he will only hate Danzo more after reading it. He didn't even want to use the secret medicine as his salary. After all, it was given by Danzo. This chapter has been deleted and revised many times, so it's a little late. Chapter 78. Don't underestimate students. What is it like to teach more than 300 people? Being stared at by more than 200 people at the same time, there is curiosity, expectation and confusion in those eyes. Muyu has reason to believe that if it is a more introverted person, it may be difficult to speak when bearing so many gazes. But Muyu is not an ordinary person. The more students he has, the happier and more excited he is. Hello everyone, I am Hanyu Muyu, the teacher in charge of this summer special training. Muyu introduced himself with a gentle smile. Although he is famous in the school and there are classes where he has substituted for classes, Muyu does not think that everyone knows him and his face, so self-introduction is necessary. Teacher Muyu. Some students who are more familiar with Muyu greeted Muyu enthusiastically. Muyu smiled and nodded in response and continued, I know everyone has a lot of doubts in their hearts. Why do we have to hold a summer special training after the holiday? What is the purpose of the special training? I can tell you clearly here that this special training has only one purpose, that is to improve the strength of the students participating in the special training and become more qualified ninjas in the future. Muyu did not say anything too cruel, such as dealing with possible war crises. After all, the war has not officially broken out. Even if the Konoha ninjas have a sense of crisis, they probably would not have thought that Konoha would gradually become the center of the war and be surrounded by the 4 major ninja villages. What form will the special training take? We can't let the genin and the students have the same special training, right? The strength of the official ninja and the students is not at the same level. Bingzu Litong asked. He was a teammate with Asuma and was pulled over by Asuma. Bingzu Litong felt that he was fooled. How could a Chunin teacher be as powerful as Asuma boasted? I have arranged this, but don't underestimate the students of the ninja school. Muyu did not answer Bingzu Litong's question first, but called Shisui out. His name is Uchiha Shisui, a student in my class, currently in the 1st grade. You can fight him to test the level of the students in the ninja school, Muyu said with a smile. Muyu had expected this to happen. Genin had gone out to see more ninjas and been instructed by Jonin, so they would have a different mentality when facing students and Chunin teachers in the ninja school. The strong are respected in the ninja world, so Muyu's solution is also very rough. If you think the students in the ninja school are not good, then come and fight him and see if you can win. Looking at Shisui who walked out calmly, Asuma's eyelids couldn't help twitching. He remembered the scene of being abused 2 months ago. He might never forget that scene for the rest of his life. He, a graduated genin, was defeated by a first-year student. Raitong, I absolutely can't stand it. He's just a first-year student, Asuma whispered to Bingzu Raitong. He couldn't wait to see Bingzu Raitong's unbelievable expression after being defeated. This kind of pain couldn't be borne by him alone. It's not good to do this. They are just first-year students. Yui Kurenai said softly. She felt that this was not very moral. Then I will come as a senior graduate to see if the level of students in the ninja school has dropped. Bingzu Litong walked out. It would have been fine if Miyu called out a fourth-year student, but she actually called out a first-year student. Bingzu Litong immediately felt underestimated, and with Asuma's instigation, he couldn't help it. The students all stepped back to leave enough space for the two to fight. If you can't hold on, just admit defeat. If you get hurt by accident, don't blame me. Bingzu Litong took out a kunai from the ninja tool bag and reminded, "Thank you for reminding me, senior. I won't be stubborn." Shisui thanked him politely. Seeing that Shisui knew how to respect his seniors and was very polite, Bingzu Litong decided to let Shisui lose in a nice way. Not too badly. Obito had already covered his face, not bearing to watch the cruel scene that followed. He knew Bingzu Litong and knew how strong Bingzu Litong was. Bingzu Litong might not even be able to beat him now. How could he be Shisui's opponent? This battle was a no-brainer, but the one being beaten was not the first-year Shisui, but the already graduated Raito Hashizu. Come on, Shisui, defeat that guy who looks down on the students. Hongdu squeezed to the front to watch the battle and cheered for Shisui. Gangzati and Kanzuki Izumo also squeezed to the front to cheer with Hongdu. Akaya Shisui, isn't he a super genius in the first year? I heard that he got full marks in all his grades. The fourth-year students had heard of Shisui's genius. No matter how talented he is, it's impossible for him to defeat a formal genin in the first year, right? Although the students all hoped that Shisui would win, most people were not optimistic about Shisui, because it was too shocking for a first-year student to defeat a formal genin. Begin. Miyu, who acted as a temporary referee, shouted after the two were ready. It's time to go, Raito Hashizu reminded him, and then rushed towards Shisui with a kunai. Shisui took out a kunai from his ninja bag calmly and started a head-on collision with Raito Hashizu. Read the error-free version at 69 Chuba. 6 = 9 +_. The sound of Ding Ding's kunai colliding continued to ring out. No matter how fierce Bingzu Litong's attack was, Shisui calmly blocked it. Bingzu Litong felt something was wrong. This strength, speed, and reaction. Is this a first-year student? Bingzu Litong pulled back and quickly formed a seal to cast a clone technique to create 5 clones, trying to interfere with Shisui. Fire style, great fireball technique. Shisui formed a seal on the spot very calmly, and also cast a ninjutsu, spitting out a 3-meter-high fireball. Who is the ninja school student between me and him? Bingzu Litong looked at the huge fireball that kept coming, and then looked at the clone next to him without a physical body, and his brain crashed directly. Fortunately, the fireball was not flying fast, and Bingzu Litong ran as fast as he could after reacting. When Bingzu Litong was glad that he had escaped the attack range of the fireball, a kunai stretched out from behind him and was placed on his neck. Feeling the cold edge of the kunai, Bingzu Litong realized that Shisui had appeared beside him without anyone noticing. I lost. I shouldn't have underestimated the students of the ninja school. Bingzu Litong admitted his defeat. If Shisui was the enemy, he would have died. Senior, thank you. Shisui put away the kunai and said modestly, he was fully capable of killing Bingzu Litong in seconds, but Bingzu Litong's performance was not bad. The previous word should have been unintentional. Shisui didn't want to embarrass him too much, so he let him go. He still held back. This fireball is not as good as the one he used on me before. Asuma thought to himself. Senior, do you have a grudge against him? Why are you laughing so happily? Gangziti found that there was a person next to him who was laughing very happily. He thought it was a ninja school student who shared the same hatred, but he found that he also had a forehead protector, which made him a little puzzled. No, I just remembered something happy, Asuma denied. Let me explain a point about this chapter. In the manga, Baizu Raito is not Asuma's teammate, but in the anime flashback of the Chunin exam, Asuma and Baizu Raito took the exam together, and Nohara Rin also called them when she celebrated for Kakashi. In addition, no one knows who Asuma's teammates are, so I set it up like this according to the flashback. In fact, there are many confusing plots in Naruto. For example, Kakashi obviously graduated and became a Chunin a long time ago, but he was able to team up with Obito and Nohara Rin, who graduated several years later, and even participated in the Chunin exam. It's outrageous. I can't guarantee that everything is seamless. I can only say that I will try my best to make it round. Chapter 79 Group Teaching. Bingzu Litong returned to the team with a depressed look on his face. He was not unwilling to accept the defeat, because Shisui's strength was indeed very strong, and he was no match for him. But he felt very aggrieved about the defeat. He, a formal genin, was defeated by a student who had just entered the ninja school, and was defeated so cleanly. This Uchiha Shisui is too strong. He even defeated a formal genin. Even if Kakashi of the same age is replaced, he may not be able to do better, right? There is another possibility. It's the opponent. Hearing the discussion of the ninja school students next to him, Bingzu Litong was even more ashamed. Bingzu Litong went back and saw Asuma's unstoppable smile on his face. Asuma, do you know something? Bingzu Litong looked at Asuma with a suspicious look. He thought carefully and felt that something was wrong. When Asuma brought them here for special training, he said that Muyu was his tutor, so Asuma might know that there was a genius named Uchiha Shisui in Muyu's class. What do you know? Asuma pretended to be stupid and said, how could I know that the first-year student was so powerful? He defeated you, Litong, in just 2 or 3 moves. Hearing Asuma's words, Bingzu Litong felt that he was hit by an arrow again. He was really embarrassed to be defeated by a first-year student in 2 or 3 moves. Everyone, be quiet. Muyu pressed his palm down to signal everyone not to discuss anymore. We have students from 1st to 4th grade here, and there are also graduated genin. We are all companions of the same village. I hope you can get along harmoniously. I will test your strength later and divide you into groups for special training. There are 3 groups, A, B, and C, and the 3 groups will receive different special training. Muyu answered Bingzu Litong's previous question. With so many students of different grades and some graduated genin, Muyu couldn't teach them all the same thing, so he chose to teach them in groups. Anyway, they were all in the same training ground. After teaching here, he would go to another group. With the help of the shadow clone, he could completely teach the 3 groups as 3 students. The strength test was also very simple, which was to let the students show their level of basic ninja skills such as ninjutsu, taijutsu and shuriken throwing, and then the teacher would score them. Muyu called some teachers from the teaching class over, and in one class, they finished grading and grouping more than 300 students. Muyu positioned group as a group of genin level, prepared for graduating genin and outstanding ninja school students, and the main special training content includes chakra control, physical strength and physical skills, and instant body skills. Group B is the outstanding students in the school, and the main special training content is 3 body skills, chakra control, physical strength and physical skills. Group C is the ordinary student group in the school. The special training content is similar to Group B, but the teaching content is more superficial and the training volume is relatively small. Muyu took a look at the list of Group A and saw many familiar names at once. Obito, Shisui, Might Guy. These are naturally needless to say, and there are Asuma, Yui Kurenai, Shiranui Genma, Shizu. Except for Shisui, those who can enter Group A are basically either genin or students who enter the grade ranking in the 4th grade. In Group B, Muyu only saw 3 familiar people, 1 Ebisu, 1 Moonlight Gale, and 1 Nohara Rin. Ebisu's performance was a bit awkward. Compared with the other students in Group B, his level was very good, but it was a little worse than that of Group A. Gekuhei was just in the 3rd grade. Hongdu, Gangtsutetsu, and Kamijutsuki Izumo, the 3 brothers in distress, went to Group C together, because the definition of excellence and ordinary was scored according to the 4th grade standard. Although the 3 could control lightning in the 1st grade, they were ordinary according to the 4th grade standard. Muyu first went to the area where Group A was located and said, "Those of you who have completed the water treading and tree climbing training stand on the right, those who have only completed the tree climbing training stand on the left, and those who have not completed it stand in the middle." Most people went to the left, a few stood on the right, and a very small number stood in the middle. Then he asked the people standing on the left to try climbing the tree, and the people on the right to tread water. Looking at the students who were training, Muyu roughly understood the level of chakra control of the students in Group A. Obito, Asuma, Shisui, and Might Guy no longer needed to practice treading water, but the others still had to practice. You didn't complete the training, you just learned a little bit, Muyu said to a student who was climbing a tree. Then Muyu asked Obito to show what it means to complete the tree climbing and water treading training. Obito rushed up the tree, then stuck his feet to the branches, and turned 360 degrees for more than 10 times, with his feet firmly attached to the branches. Then Obito performed a trick of running freely on the water surface with the interference of the water dragon bullet. Only when you reach this level can you say that you have completed the training. Muyu pointed at Obito and said, "Currently, only Asuma, Shisui, and Obito can do this." The error-free version is available at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. Bingzu Litong went down to challenge him, but he didn't last for 3 minutes and started drinking water. Asuma can do it. Bingzu Litong felt that Muyu might have overestimated Asuma's strength. "Litong, don't underestimate me. My chakra control ability is very strong." Asuma saw that his good brother didn't believe him, so he went down to show his skills. "Why do I feel that Asuma has become stronger secretly?" Looking at Asuma, who was as steady as an old dog in the waves, they were puzzled. "Asuma, I feel that you have become more powerful." Yui Kurenai said honestly, "Haha, it's just average, just basic skills." Asuma heard Yui Kurenai's praise, and the corners of his mouth could not be lowered. He instantly felt that the water he drank during the training with Muyu was not in vain. Chakra control ability is a compulsory course for ninjas. "I hope that all of you can stand on the right in 2 weeks," Muyu said after demonstrating it to the students in Group A several times. Then Muyu went to Group B and asked the question again. However, the situation in Group B was different. Only Ebisu stood on the right, most of the people stood in the middle, and a few stood on the left. Muyu asked them to show their chakra control level, which was much worse than Group A just now. Except for Ebisu, Muyu asked everyone else to practice tree climbing, while Ebisu continued to practice treading water. Muyu did not continue to ask about Group C, but directly began to teach Group C physical skills. Muyu's training plan for Group C is to train the body and practice physical skills in the morning, and practice 3 body skills in the afternoon. When these two catch up, they can practice chakra control. Muyu left a shadow clone in each group, and the real body patrolled back and forth between the 3 groups. If he saw that some students were not trained correctly, he would demonstrate and correct them. Soon the morning passed, and Muyu also announced the end of get out of class and the lunch break. Completed a big class. Settlement is being settled. Recommended book, My Troops Infinite Evolution Lord Game. Starting from recruiting little skeletons. Infinite Evolution. Chapter 80 Class Rewards. Evaluation. B. Reward. Chakra plus 40. Complete the large class teaching for the first time and get reward. Appraisal Skill Enhancement Scroll. Muyu was not too surprised that the evaluation was only B. It was also the first time for him to teach so many people at the same time. He was inexperienced and did not do a lot of things well. In addition, the test grouping took a lot of time and he was not in class all the time. However, Muyu was still very satisfied with the reward for the large class. For the same level of evaluation, the reward for the large class is twice as much as the ordinary teaching. The ordinary teaching B level evaluation only has 20 chakra points. On the surface, teaching 40 people is 20 points, while 300 people only have 40 points, which seems a bit of a loss. But in fact, Muyu can't do 2 ordinary teachings at the same time, so the same class, taking the large class is equivalent to raising the upper limit. If the reward for the large class only satisfied Muyu, then the achievement reward for completing the large class for the first time was a surprise to Muyu. He had long felt that the appraisal technique was not good enough and there were too few things to see. I don't know what level it can reach after strengthening, Muyu thought after using the enhancement scroll. After the enhancement scroll was completed, Muyu gave an appraisal to Obito, who ran to Lin's side after class. Name, Uchiha Obito. Chakra, 750. Potential, S. Basic talent plus 6 paths. Bloodline plus space-time talent, Skills: Great Fireball Technique, Beginner, 100-500, Great Dragon Fire Technique, Beginner, 35-500, Fire Attribute Chakra Nature Change, Beginner, 25-500, Evaluation: A Genin with some combat power but a dull mind. It's much clearer all of a sudden. Miyu nodded secretly as he looked at Obito's panel checked by the identification technique. The enhanced identification technique is simply better than the previous one. Not only can it see the specific composition of potential, but it can also display all skills, and even show the proficiency of skills, allowing him to see the growth of his disciples more intuitively. Miyu even thinks that the enhanced identification technique can also play a big role in battle, as ninja battles rely a lot on intelligence. Then Miyu threw another identification technique at Might Guy and Shisui. Name: Uchiha Shisui, Chakra, 800, Skills: Great Fireball Jutsu, Beginner, 230-500, Great Dragon Fire Jutsu, Beginner, 140-500, Fire Chakra Nature Change, Beginner, 7500, Shave, Beginner, 6100ths, Potential, SS, Basic Talent plus 6 Paths Bloodline, Name: Might Guy, Chakra, 680, Skills: Konoha Cyclone, Beginner, 300-500, Konoha Great Cyclone, Beginner, 260-500, Shave, Beginner, 36-100ths, Potential, S, Basic Talent plus Willpower. Miyu felt that it was good that those who were still learning could also see their proficiency. After using the appraisal technique to look through it, Miyu was able to determine the potential assessment mechanism. Basic talents refer to talents of a series of basic ninja abilities such as Ninja Body Genie. Superhuman willpower can improve potential ratings, and special talents such as space-time can also improve potential ratings. Then there are bloodline advantages such as the 6 Paths Bloodline. Miyu thinks the skill proficiency display setting is also very interesting. Although the entry-level data is only 500 points, the difficulty of increasing proficiency is different due to the difficulty of ninjutsu. The proficiency of simpler physical skills such as Konoha Whirlwind increases very quickly, while it is difficult to increase the proficiency of higher-level fire escapes such as Heiho Longyuo. It is even more difficult to practice more difficult skills such as nature change. After looking at the students, Miyu also opened his own panel. He was a little curious about what his detailed skills would be like. Name: Hanyu Muiyu. Skills: Fire Chakra Nature Change, Mastery, 7545-15,000, Water Chakra Nature Change, Mastery, 7500-15,000, Fire Style, Tikoku, Mastery, 0-15,000, Konoha Dragon God, Mastery, 0-15,000. Muiyu was a little surprised. They were all mastery level rewards from the system, but the proficiency was so different. Chakra Nature Change seemed to be a little special, with half the proficiency of that level at the beginning. He also practiced Fire Chakra Nature Change when he taught students, so it increased a little, otherwise it should be 7,500. As for Tikoku and Konoha Dragon God, Muiyu has not used them yet, so he is not surprised. Take a break for an hour at noon, and start training again at 1 p.m., with the morning as a preparation. The afternoon teaching went much more smoothly. Whether it is guiding the training of chakra control ability or teaching the 3 body techniques, Muiyu has good experience. He has gained successful experience in training chakra control ability from people like Obito and Asuma, and the 3 body technique has the 3 body technique at the master level and the teaching skills as a backup. No wonder this teacher has such high popularity even though he has been in school for a short time. He is indeed capable. Miyu Zayan thought to herself as she looked at Miyu who was explaining the transformation technique. She compared the ninjutsu teacher in her class with Miyu and felt that the teacher in her class was completely blown away. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6=9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. Miyu's explanation is more detailed and easy to understand, and the classroom atmosphere is also very good. When interacting with students, it is not only not stiff, but also gives people a comfortable feeling like a spring breeze. If you compare class to cooking, Then the ordinary Chunin teacher tells the students what the main ingredients of this dish are, and then demonstrates cooking on the spot. Muyu tells the students all the main dishes and seasonings, and tells the students how to make it more delicious while cooking, and if it is not done well, what may be the reason. Muyu tried his best to take care of most of the students in all classes. He basically did not stop for the whole afternoon. Even if no one asked him questions, Muyu would take the initiative to find the students' problems and correct them. After a day of teaching, Muyu could only say that it was fortunate that he was a ninja with strong strength. If ordinary people played so much, they would be exhausted and their voices would be hoarse after a day. When the time came to 5:30 in the afternoon, Muyu announced the dismissal of school. Complete a large class teaching, evaluation, B, reward, chakra plus 40. Muyu was very pleased to see the rewards from the system. It was a bit tiring, but this was equivalent to double the experience bonus in the game, so he had to work hard. With the support of summer special training, although it was a holiday, the actual benefits were more than normal school classes. Tomorrow morning at 7:30 will still be this training ground. Muyu told the students the class time for tomorrow. His special training plan was to start class at 7:30 in the morning and go to 12 o'clock, with a half-hour break in the middle, and from 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 5:30 in the afternoon, with a half-hour break in the middle. Teacher Muyu, do we still need to go to the forest? After the others left, Obito asked Muyu, you can go home and eat first before going. Muyu gave the answer, there are many people in the special training, and some things are difficult for him to teach, so he just asked them to exercise normally. This sheet has a lot of data, which may look a bit watery, but I have to write it down. I will try to make these data less. In addition, it has officially failed and failed to be recommended. If nothing unexpected happens, it should be on the shelves on Friday. When that time comes, everyone who has the ability should try to subscribe to Kidian. It can only be said that failure always runs through life. This is life. I am also used to failure. Don't worry, I will finish it well. Chapter 81. Call me a Jonin. Obito thought that he would not have to go to Muyu to train after one day of special training. What? You don't want to learn shaving through the challenge? Muyu tapped Obito's head with her finger and said, I want to learn, but I just feel a little tired. Obito said honestly, unlike Shisui and Might Guy, Obito rarely practiced all day except on weekends, so he was not used to this training rhythm. When you feel tired, you can just rest and study what I teach seriously, Muyu explained with a smile. When he was training all the students, he had to take a lot of things into consideration, but when it came to his disciples, there were no such restrictions. Then I will definitely study hard. Goodbye, Teacher Muyu. Obito said goodbye to Muyu with a laugh and prepared to go home for dinner. Even if Muyu didn't explain that he would go after dinner, he could still tell who was good to him. After saying goodbye to the disciples, Muyu also returned to his home in the main city. He would read the sealing technique information given by Kushina every night, and try to think and solve problems by himself when he encountered them. He would only ask Minato or Kushina if he really had no idea. In recent days, he had not talked to the two about the topic of sealing techniques, and accumulated some questions, ready to solve these problems after dinner. After dinner, Muyu smoothly led the topic to the practice of sealing techniques and asked his own questions. Muyu's questions as a beginner naturally did not stump Minato and Kushina, and Muyu soon got the answers he wanted. By the way, Muyu, if you have time, can you demonstrate the squirrel mandarin fish in detail again? We went back and tried it, and it was completely different from what you did. It was too difficult. Kushina took the opportunity to ask. That will have to wait until 4 days later. I am currently helping students with summer special training, and I don't have time from Monday to Friday, Muyu explained. Today is Tuesday, and not counting today, which is almost over, there are still 3 days until Saturday. It's okay, you can teach us when you have time on Saturday. Kushina expressed her understanding. Summer special training? Doesn't the ninja school have summer vacation now? Minato's focus was on another place. Not really, it's because I went to the Sandame's house before. Muyu told Minato and Kushina the whole story. This is not something worth keeping secret. It's better to tell it out. Special training for students who are about to graduate is indeed a good way to strengthen the strength of new genin. Minato nodded and said, "The situation in the ninja world is chaotic now. Although the newly graduated genin will not be needed to go to the battlefield in the event of a war, it is always a good thing to strengthen the strength and let the new genin become qualified ninjas as soon as possible. This also shows that the Sandaime-sama values you very much and entrusts you with such an important task." Minato smiled gently. "It seems that I will call you Muyu Jonin in a month," Kushina joked. Before, she thought that if Muyu practiced the sealing technique seriously, she could become a special Jonin with the sealing technique. As a result, Muyu was better than she thought as a teacher, and could be promoted to a special Jonin with her teaching ability. You have to achieve satisfactory results for the Sandaime to be promoted. I'm not sure I can do it. Even if I succeed, I can't compare with the formal Jonin like Minato and Kushina, Muyu said modestly. What can I say about the position of special Jonin? It is not ruled out that some special Jonin have practical abilities similar to those of Jonin, but most special Jonin are just stronger but special Jonin. For example, if Muyu becomes a special Jonin after the special training, his relevant information will definitely be marked as an educational talent. However, Konoha has very high requirements for Jonin. Even if you are a special Jonin, you are considered to have entered the middle and high level of Konoha and are eligible to participate in the Jonin meeting. Who cares about Jonin? Jonin is better than Chunin, and you can continue to be promoted if you meet the standards in the future. Kushina's words are rough but true. After solving the problem of the sealing technique, Muyu chatted with Kushina and Minato for a while, and went to the southern forest. When Muyu arrived, Shisui and Might Guy had already arrived and were training. "Come here, I will continue to explain to you about the chakra burst technique of shave." Muyu waved to the two. Before the two of them were shaved, Muyu would teach this taijutsu. After that, he would teach other ninjutsu and taijutsu. Shisui could learn some other fire escape techniques to enhance his offensiveness, and Might Guy would learn rock breathing. First, rock breathing is very difficult. In the original work of Demon Slayer, rock breathing is the most difficult of the basic breathing techniques, so it is better to learn it early. Second, breathing techniques have a strong bodybuilding effect, which can help Might Guy better exercise his physique. Might Guy and Shisui immediately stopped training and quickly ran to Muyu's side. 10 minutes after Muyu started teaching, Obito also came. Obito looked at Might Guy and Shisui who were practicing the instant body technique with some envy, and then began to practice nature change under the guidance of Muyu's shadow clone. He basically trained his physical fitness during the special training during the day, which has surpassed the previous training volume. The error-free version is available at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. Train hard for a week, and then challenge the taijutsu again. Obito thought to himself. He didn't dare to challenge rashly. If he lost, he would have to fail 3 exams. The next day, in order to complete the physical challenge, Obito and Might Guy borrowed weights and started running around the training ground like crazy. They only rested when they were really exhausted, and continued to exercise after their physical strength recovered. Has Obito been training so hard? Asuma, who was resting, saw that Obito was working so hard and couldn't sit still. Because he was the leader in progress, Asuma was more relaxed. Muyu asked them to complete treading water and climbing trees in 2 weeks, but he had completed it before he came to the special training. Even if he sat there and did nothing for 2 weeks, he would still pass. Asuma was a little uneasy when he saw that Obito, who was also ahead in progress, was so diligent. He looked at Shisui again and found that Shisui was practicing fire escape ninjutsu. He felt that if Gruppa had a practical test, let alone first place, he would not be able to keep second place. These people were too diligent in training, as if they would suffer some major losses if they rested for a while. Finally, Asuma patted his butt and stood up, and continued to practice fire style. With a super genius like Shisui, it is normal that he can't get the first place, but he can't lose to Obito. After losing to Shisui and Obito, will he lose to other students in school? Will he still have this face next? Recommended book. Arceus Pirate Journey is a good book with nearly 10,000 orders. Those who are interested in pirates can go and have a look. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82, Opening the Door to a New World. Now our confuse enemy technique doesn't seem to be too far away from the ordinary clone technique. During the break, Gang Ziti couldn't help but sigh. Yes, whether it's a monster or an opponent, it's not much different from the ordinary clone technique when facing a master. Shen Uchiyun nodded and said, from the class practice to the grade practice, they watched two battles between Hongd and Shisui. From their perspective, Hongd had done well enough. After splitting a clone that looked like Shisui, she played a trick of real and fake Hongd. Even so, Hongd still failed to successfully confuse Shisui and was easily defeated. I think you still have to follow my idea. Instantly split a clone that is enough to attract attention, and then take the opportunity to attack. Shen Uchiyun felt that his idea was not wrong, but the monster he turned into now was not scary enough. But Chuyun, you didn't even beat Hongd. Gang Ziti denied. But I beat you, Chuyun. Shen Uchiyun said that he at least beat Gang Ziti. If you have the ability to beat Shisui, I think your idea is fine. Gang Ziti wanted to shift the topic to Shisui, but Shinryu Izumo had seen through Gang Ziti's thoughts and laughed. It's enough for me to beat Shisui. You were beaten up by Hongdu. I beat you. Shinryu Izumo seized the pain point and attacked. Gang Ziti couldn't hold it anymore, and felt that the final exam was a major failure in his life. I think you two really don't understand anything. Ebisu, who was passing by, heard the conversation between the two, and raised the nosepad of his sunglasses with a single finger and said with disdain, such a good idea turned into a monster. What a waste. You are. Gang Ziti scratched his head and was a little confused. He seems to be a senior from Group B, Shinryu Izumo said softly. Because Ebisu was wearing sunglasses, Shinryu Izumo had a certain impression of Ebisu. Senior, since you know that we don't understand, then come and guide us. Gang Ziti felt that he could brainstorm. As he spoke, Gang Ziti took out a bag of potato chips and handed it to Ebisu. Ebisu looked around for a while, and when he saw that there was no one around them who was particularly close, he accepted the potato chips. Ebisu sat down and waved to Kamitsuki Izumo and Gang Ziti, indicating that the two should come closer. Your idea is good. The most important thing about the clone technique is to interfere with the enemy, but you shouldn't think about turning into a monster. Ebisu said to Kamitsuki Izumo, instead of turning into a monster, it's better to turn into. Ebisu's voice became much lower, and Kamitsuki Izumo and Gang Ziti's eyes became wider and wider. Senior, are you a genius? Gang Ziti said with sincere admiration. He imagined the technique of confusing the enemy that Ebisu mentioned, and he felt that he would definitely fall for it. Which man could resist such temptation? I think this technique has great potential. Kamitsuki Izumo couldn't wait to develop it according to Ebisu's ideas. Ahem. Don't tell others that it was my idea when you use it. Ebisu looked around for a while and said. Gang Ziti nodded. Then he asked, Senior, what's your name? My name is Gang Ziti. My name is Shenryu Izumo. Shenryu Izumo introduced himself. Ebisu. Ebisu stood up and said without looking back. Gang Ziti and Shenryu Izumo silently memorized the name and watched Ebisu leave, with respect in their eyes. This was the grace of preaching. Today, Ebisu helped them open a door to a new world. When it was almost time to go home in the afternoon, Miyu stopped the training and gathered everyone together. Starting from this week, there will be a strength test every week, and a practical test every 2 weeks. Those with excellent test results can be promoted to a higher group for training. Miyu said the arrangements for the next special training exam. Miyu finally couldn't help but want to try whether the system could get stuck. There are rewards for excellent performance in the exam. He has no power in the ninja school and cannot affect the number of exams, but he is fully responsible for the summer special training. It can be said that he can do whatever he wants. Although he thought that this might not work before, he still wanted to try it now that he had the ability to try. Anyway, it doesn't matter if there is no reward. If it succeeds, It will be a huge benefit. What is the difference between the two? Hongdu asked. The strength test does not require you to fight, but to examine your mastery of ninjutsu, taijutsu and other items in the form of an exam, while the actual combat test is for the group members to fight according to the actual combat exam mode of the ninja school, Muyu explained. The error-free version is read at 69 book bar 6 equals 9 plus book underscore bar first releases this novel. Hongdu understood what it Muyu said. The strength test is the same as the group test yesterday, and the actual combat test is fighting. After Muyu finished the arrangement, it was time to end the get out of class. Muyu did not delay time and directly announced the end of school. Next, Muyu returned to the main city to eat, and then went to the southern forest to teach the disciples. However, after the disciples left, Muyu did not return to the main city, but continued to practice on his own. It's done. Muyu looked at the chakra balls emitting a faint glow in his palm and the Rasengan that had already been introduced in the skill column, and nodded with satisfaction. Although he knew the training process of Rasengan and the changes in chakra form at the proficient level, he spent too little time on Rasengan, so he has not completed the training of Rasengan until now. Muyu has to attend classes and teach students every day, and he also has to study sealing techniques. Recently, he has also added a breathing method to strengthen his body. Only when he has completed all the tasks, he will start to develop Rasengan. The reason why he doesn't pay much attention to Rasengan is mainly because Rasengan is not very helpful for his strength improvement at this stage. Rasengan consumes too much chakra. Don't look at Rasengan as just a palm-sized chakra ball, but it contains highly compressed chakra, which requires a lot of chakra. For him now, the benefits of using Rasengan are not as good as other advanced ninjutsu. Muyu's main purpose in developing Rasengan is to help Minato develop Rasengan in the future, so that Minato owes him a favor. Rasengan was inspired by the tailed beast ball. Kushina couldn't use the tailed beast ball to hit Minato. Considering the time factor, it can only be inspired by the tailed beast on the battlefield during the Third Ninja World War. So Minato should not have completed the development of Rasengan yet. Before he has invincible strength, Muyu hopes to have many good friends. Secondly, although it is useless now, it does not mean it will be useless in the future. When he has more chakra and masters the Sage Mode, he can make Spiral Shuriken and develop various nature-changing spiral pills. If it doesn't work, it can also be used to reward his disciples. Recommended book: I set up a high-quality Naruto teaching in Naruto, which is more relaxed and daily. If you are interested, you can take a look. Chapter 83 Might Guy's Promotion Reward. The chakra required for climbing a tree is very subtle. Find the feeling of being fixed and keep it unchanged so that you can always stick to the tree. Water is flowing. Don't apply the experience of climbing a tree to stepping on water. Pay attention to feeling the fluctuations of the water to continuously output chakra. You must practice more seals. The speed of seals is very important. The faster you can use ninjutsu, the more chances you have of winning. Muyu wandered around the training ground, constantly teaching and instructing each group. It is now Friday afternoon. After a few days of large classes, Muyu has almost gotten used to the rhythm of large classes. He is becoming more and more proficient and tries his best to take care of everyone. Muyu also encourages students to communicate with each other more. Sometimes when a person is working hard and can't figure out something, he gets inspiration by communicating with others. The class format of summer special training is relatively free. Unlike theoretical classes, you can only sit in your seat and listen to the class. Students are gradually getting used to such training. At first, Hongdu was a little uncomfortable and practiced all day. After a few days, she felt that it was just like that. The rules were that there were 2 big classes in the morning and afternoon, with a half-hour break in between. But if you were really tired and sat down to rest, Muyu wouldn't care. The first strength test will be held on Monday afternoon. I really want to be promoted to Group B. Shisui is directly in Group A. It's embarrassing for me, the second in the grade, to be in Group C all the time. During the break, Hongdu and her 2 good brothers told her what she thought. It's not that I don't support you, but Hongdu, you really don't have the strength to go to Group B now. Gang Ziti said bluntly. I've seen the performance of Brother Ebisu during training. He is much better than you. Shinichi nodded. Many fourth-year students are still in Group C. It's a bit unrealistic for Hongdu to want to go to Group B after a few days of special training. Who is Ebisu? Hongdu scratched her head. Why did her good brothers suddenly have a big brother they didn't know? A senior in the 4th grade, currently in Group B, very strong, and a real genius. Gangziti replied. HMPH. You guys just underestimate me. I will practice hard this weekend and then I will be promoted to show you, Hongdu said with her hands on her hips. Gangziti and Shinichi felt bad. It was okay to say that, but you can't really go to the test. Just kidding, Hongdu. You are the strongest female student in our 1st grade. A simple strength test is a piece of cake. Gangziti and Shinichi hurriedly spoke to comfort Hongdu, worried that Hongdu really practiced something and entered Group B first. That would be more uncomfortable than failing the test. Complete a large class teaching, evaluation. A. Reward. Earth escape middle. Earth flow wall. Water escape middle. Water prison jutsu? Sure enough, it's also a double reward, Muyu thought to himself. When he saw that the chakra of the B-level reward was doubled, he thought that the A-level reward should be 2 ninjutsu. In fact, Muyu wanted the system to give 2 identical ninjutsu directly, so that many ninjutsu can be quickly brushed to the proficient level. But it's okay if 2 are different. If you get A rating all day, you can get 4 ninjutsu in 1 day. The efficiency of learning ninjutsu is too fast. Disciples never have to worry about not having ninjutsu to learn. After class, Muyu returned to the main city and confirmed with Gushina that they would have a detailed teaching of squirrel mandarin fish on Saturday, and then returned to the South Forest to continue teaching disciples. Might Guy and Shisui are still working hard on the practice of shaving. In fact, the 2 of them have been able to use shaving in a preliminary way, but in terms of identification, they are still not entry level, but their proficiency is higher. Muyu understood the entry standard of identification. It is not considered entry if you can use it, but you have to master it. For example, if you use the Great Fireball but can only spit out fist-sized sparks, this is obviously not entry level. Even if you haven't entered the entry level, Might Guy is delighted. He used the special chakra technique of shaving to instantly condense chakra in his legs several times and then explode. In the blink of an eye, he appeared a few meters away, and at the same time kicked a big tree with a very fast kick. The speed is much faster than before. If Kakashi is kicked like this, will he be able to react? Might Guy was very excited. However, he knew that Kakashi also knew the instant body technique. After being excited, Might Guy practiced harder. Under your guidance, the disciple Might Guy has practiced hard and gained a certain increase in strength. He was rewarded with the finger gun, proficient level. Akai has also triggered it. Only Obito is left. Muyu glanced at Obito, who was practicing the change of chakra properties, perhaps stimulated by Might Guy and Shisui, who were learning to shave. Obito has also been practicing diligently in recent days. During the special training during the day, he has been running with weights. It is estimated that he will soon be able to receive the improvement reward. Muyu calmed down and began to check the memory of the finger gun in his mind. This reward is also one of the 6 styles. Like shaving, the finger gun has also been localized by the system and turned into a physical technique. Muyu found a big stone, and according to the experience of practicing the finger gun in his mind, he condensed a large amount of chakra in his index finger, and then easily left a few holes in the stone. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 +_. It is quite similar to the health road of the 3rd Raikage. Adding the lightning chakra nature change should greatly enhance its power. Muyu came to a conclusion after the experiment. I wonder what reward Obito can trigger, Muyu thought to himself. If Obito's reward is also the 6 styles, then he hopes it will be the moon step. There are very few means of flying in the ninja world, and being able to fly is a huge advantage. Although the moon step is not considered flying, it jumps high. After practicing the chakra nature change, Obito did not go home to rest, but asked Shisui and Might Guy if they wanted to run at night together. The 2 readily agreed, so the 3 of them ran at night together. Haha, Obito, you finally realized that youth lies in exercise. Might Guy gave Obito a thumbs up. and his shining white teeth were particularly dazzling at night. What youth or not, I just want to learn the instant body technique through physical training. Obito looked at Might Guy with a black line. Every time he saw the two of them practicing the instant body technique together, while he was practicing the nature change alone, Obito felt very uncomfortable. It's like living in the same dormitory. Your roommates have finished their homework and are playing games together, but you are still doing your homework alone. That feeling is simply terrible. Come on, Teacher Muayu must be looking forward to your completion of the challenge, Shisui said. He felt that Muayu didn't want to teach Obito, but Muayu was laying the groundwork for teaching Obito to shave. Well, I'll try it again on Sunday. Hearing Shisui's words, Obito was even more motivated. It's just 100 questions. It can't stop Uchiha Obito's pace of progress. It will probably be on the shelves at 12:05 noon tomorrow. Please support me. I will also promote this Naruto. I am Uzumaki Naruto. I don't need recognition to write Naruto. I defected. You can take a look if you are interested. Chapter 84. Remarks on the release. If nothing unexpected happens, it should be on the shelves on time at 12:05 noon tomorrow. First of all, thank you for your friends who have been following and voting for rewards. The free period cannot be updated too much. Only 4K a day. No wonder you say it is short. Next, let me sell a wave of misery. This book can be said to be quite miserable. I haven't written anything, but the chapters are always blocked, which caused me to lose the smart push. Maybe the failure to compete for recommendation is also related to the blocked chapters the day before Park. In fact, it was supposed to be on the shelves next week, but I didn't win the recommendation competition and flopped, so I put it on the shelves in advance. Although the current results are not very good, this is my first book after graduation. I will definitely write it well and work hard to update it. Don't worry that I will be a eunuch. And I also have a glimmer of fantasy in my heart. Although the previous results are not good, maybe the results will get better later. This is not without cases. I hope that everyone who has the ability can come to Kidian to subscribe. Orange is here to kowtow to all the parents who feed and clothe you. At present, the collection of this book is about 25,000. Kidian now has anti-theft, and the subscription ratio of stronger authors is generally around 5. But I don't think I have the ability, so my expectation is 2,500 first orders, which is also a 10% subscription ratio. I will be very satisfied if I can reach this number. Any higher will be a surprise. I wonder if you can give me a surprise. Starting to dream. Regarding updates, there will be at least 5 updates on the day of listing, and I will post as many as I can. If there are additional updates, starting from 2,000 first orders, 1 update will be added for every additional 200 first orders. The average subscription will be calculated from the second day of listing, and 1 update will be added for every 100 increase, valid forever. That's all I have to say. I hope everyone can subscribe to support me. Next, I will sacrifice a wave of books and hope that this book will perform better after it is listed. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. I don't need recognition. Kikuani I founded the Kuaku cult in Naruto. Ganjia Ajililu I started working as a worker from Naruto. Nangmoji Oshu the house witch. Zyani Ushinxian the everyday monsters of Inazuma. Taoist Zaning what bad intentions can Batman have? Mr. Skeleton Pirate. The first partner is Tomcat. Want to eat popsicles? Arceus Pirate Journey. White Dove Pigeon starting a new life from Conan. Lisa Yang my stand is Steve. Kaiui Uyulan the sunny and cheerful big boy of death. Dong Shishin. Chapter 85 Discovering a new system mechanism. Saturday morning, because he and Minato had agreed to teach the squirrel mandarin fish in detail, Muyu sent his shadow clone to teach his disciples, while his real body was teaching Minato and Kushina to cook in the main city of Konoha. The reason why they didn't switch, with the shadow clone teaching cooking and the real body teaching the disciples, was mainly because the shadow clone didn't have the blessing of the chef's skills. Muyu knew that the shadow clone could use all the ninjutsu, but the shadow clone didn't enjoy the bonus for skills like chef and teaching. Muyu took out a fish and put it on the chopping board, letting Minato and Kushina watch. While cutting the fish he explained, to handle the fish, first cut diagonally behind the gills and cut off the spine. Miyu cut off the fish head and then reminded, after cutting off the fish head, process it a little bit and cut off the gill cover here, so that it will be easier to shape when frying, and it will look much better when it is put on the table. No wonder it didn't look good when I did it. It turns out there is this step. Kushina showed an expression of sudden enlightenment. When processing the fish meat, Miyu reminded the two to control the strength and cut only 4/5 of the fish meat. Don't cut the fish skin, otherwise it will be considered a failure in appearance. When it came to this step, Miyu took out the 2 fish prepared in advance for Kushina and Minato to try. Minato's performance was okay. He was probably afraid of cutting the fish meat, so he cut it a little shallow. Kushina cut the fish skin directly. Haha, this fish meat is too soft. It was cut in one go. Miyu, do you have a fish with harder meat? Kushina tried to find the reason from the fish. If the meat is too hard, will you eat it? Miyu showed a helpless smile. Fortunately, Miyu was well prepared. He took another fish for Kushina to try. With the experience of the first time, Kushina cut 3 times before cutting the fish skin, which was considered a big improvement. From now on, I'll leave this step of cutting fish to Minato, Kushina said solemnly. In order not to waste Miyu's time, Kushina decided not to compete with the fish for the time being. The teaching continued. Miyu explained every step in great detail, and immediately asked the two to practice after finishing. This teaching was very slow. When it was noon, Miyu had not yet made a complete squirrel fish with Kushina and Minato, but had almost completed the decomposition teaching. It was not until after 2 o'clock in the afternoon that Miyu led the two to make their own squirrel fish. It was considered completed, but there was a big difference in appearance. We followed it step by step. Why is there still such a big difference in the end? Kushina felt that her and Minato's finished products were still far from Miyu's. After all, we are novices, and the appearance should be better if we practice more, Minato said. Minato was quite satisfied. He actually completed a dish that looked so complicated. If the difficulty of learning dishes is graded, Minato felt that this squirrel fish is at least B level. He immediately added this dish to the menu after Jiraiya returned. Lesson completed. Evaluation B. Reward Magic Mapo Tofu. Just when Miyu was about to say something, the system suddenly popped up a prompt. Teaching how to cook is also considered teaching. Can I get the lecture reward by teaching 2 people? 2 doubts popped up in Miyu's mind instantly. Why didn't he trigger the reward when he taught before? And why didn't he trigger the lecture reward when he taught his disciples? After careful thinking, Miyu had some guesses. The judgment of the lecture may not only be based on the number of people, but also on the strength of the person being taught. Although he only taught Minato and Kushina, they were very strong. As for why it didn't trigger when he taught cooking before, Miyu felt that it should be because of the lack of time and teaching depth. This lecture settlement was indeed a bit beyond Miyu's expectations, and the reward was a bit abstract. It turned out to be a recipe. If he remembered correctly, it was a recipe from the Chinese cooking master boy. Kushina and Minato each tasted the squirrel mandarin fish they made, and both showed a satisfied smile. Although it looked a bit shabby, it tasted very good. However, when eating, Miyu's squirrel mandarin fish was eaten first. His own was good, but Miyu's was too fragrant and he couldn't resist it. Miyu, I'm really sorry for bothering you this time. You spent most of the day teaching us how to cook. Minato smiled gently. It's not a big deal. You often help me solve my doubts about the sealing technique. Miyu responded with a smile, indicating that the two of them didn't need to worry about it. Speaking of the sealing technique, Miyu, how is your 3-finger sealing practice going? Kushina asked. There are some signs now. Miyu told her insights from the first 3 days of her practice. The progress is pretty good. The time it takes to succeed in the practice should be about the same as I estimated. Kushina nodded after listening and gave affirmation. Kushina is willing to call Miyu the best in cooking, but when it comes to sealing techniques, Kushina thinks that there should be no one stronger than her in the entire ninja world. I'll go back and write down some of my previous insights from practicing the sealing technique, and give it to you after I finish it. Kushina thought for a while and said, she is a person who knows how to repay kindness. Miyu just taught her and Minato to cook so carefully and meticulously, and Kushina also catered to her preferences. That's really troublesome. Miyu was very satisfied. Miyu, you are still talking about us, what's the trouble? You are welcome, it's just a piece of cake. Kushina laughed loudly. In the evening, Obito told Miyu in advance that he would apply for the physical challenge again on Sunday. Are you ready? Miyu asked Obito with a smile, and slowly took out 3 test papers from the scroll. Looking at the 3 test papers in Miyu's hand, Obito's face fell all of a sudden. No matter what, he didn't want to do the questions. But when Obito looked at Might Guy and Shisui who were practicing shaving not far away, and thought of their conversation yesterday, Obito instantly ignited his fighting spirit and said, Teacher Miyu, I'm ready. I will definitely succeed this time. Since the disastrous defeat on Saturday last time, he has been practicing hard for a week. Obito chose to believe in the results of his practice. Seeing that Obito was so confident, Miyu gave Obito the ticket fee and began to arrange the venue. The next morning, Obito came very early, and for the first time he arrived at the training place earlier than Shisui. After Obito did some warm-up exercises, Miyu took him to the challenge area he had set up. Just like before, keep walking east and you will see the finish line, Miyu reminded him. Obito nodded and sprinted in the direction Miyu pointed with all his strength. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. With the lesson learned last time, Obito did not look back at the shadow clone, but always paid attention to whether there were traps and mechanisms near him. With a cautious attitude, Obito missed the trap once and came to the big pendulum level where he failed last time. There may be a large number of sturdy trees swinging back and forth at any time. Obito did not hesitate and rushed in directly, relying on his extremely fast speed to rush through without injury. Accustomed to running with weights, after not carrying weights, Obito felt that his body was unbelievably light, and his running speed suddenly became faster. After passing the place where he failed last time, Obito suddenly felt much more relaxed, with a bright smile on his face. As long as I get serious, this challenge will be easy. However, Obito didn't look cool for more than 3 seconds. Not long after he finished speaking, he fell directly into the big pit dug by Miyu. 1-point deduction. Miyu's warm voice reached Obito's ears. Obito quickly jumped out of the big pit, and then ran all the way carefully, never daring to be careless again. The price of carelessness was too heavy. Not only did he have to start the challenge again, but he also had to add another 100 questions. Although the former was unpleasant, it was acceptable, while the latter was a bit scary. After running carefully for a long time, Obito saw a kunai stuck on a wooden stake. There was a flag tied to the kunai, and the flag said the end. Obito smiled brightly again. This is the end. There are still 2 points to deduct. I am really good at being careful. Obito walked towards the kunai with a step that did not recognize anyone. At this time, Obito's heart was full of satisfaction. He passed the difficulties through his hard training and extraordinary caution. There was nothing more satisfying than this, and he felt a full sense of accomplishment. But just when Obito was about to walk to the kunai, he was suddenly hung up. What he didn't expect was that there was a trap next to the finish line. 1-point deduction. Miyu's voice reached Obito's ears again. Obito quickly got rid of the trap and didn't dare to laugh anymore. He was afraid that if he laughed again, he would lose the last point. He laughed and got 3 test papers. After carefully checking the surroundings, Obito crossed the finish line. At this time, Miyu appeared and said, although there is only 1 point left, it is also a success. Ha ha ha, great. Obito couldn't help but jump up and cheer, laughing loudly. He didn't have to worry about failing to deduct points and didn't have to take 100 questions. Finally, I can learn to shave like Shisui and Kai. Who told you that you can learn to shave now? Miyu asked in confusion. Didn't you, Miyu teacher, say that you can learn it after completing the physical challenge? Obito asked puzzled. Yes, you completed the physical challenge, but you only completed the first level of Forest Sprint, and you haven't completed the second level yet, Miyu explained. Obito thought about it, and finally found the relevant memory from a corner. It really is true. The second level is called the River Sprint. You need to rush from the river bank to the other side of the river within the specified time and without falling into the water, Miyu explained. Is it that simple? Obito showed a delighted expression. Isn't this just treading water? It's too easy for him now. I will interfere with the ninjutsu released on the river surface to a certain extent after the start, Muyu said with a smile. Or is it a water dragon bullet? Obito asked. Muyu nodded. It is indeed a water dragon bullet, but the number is a little bit more. After getting Muyu's affirmation, Obito's expression was very relaxed. Isn't it just a water dragon bullet plus treading water? The training has been completed long ago. Teacher Muyu, I'm going to start the challenge of the second level. Obito wanted to complete the challenge quickly and started practicing shaving. Since there is no manuscript saved, all 5 chapters were written by staying up late, and you may feel dizzy. Just leave a message in the chapter. I will read it. Chapter 86 Strength Test. By the way, Teacher Muyu, do you have to pay for the second level as well? Obito suddenly remembered something important. After you clear the first level for the first time, you can challenge the second level for free. Under normal circumstances, the fee is the same as the first level. Muyu explained. It's free for the first time. That's great. Obito was very happy. This meant that he had to do 3 fewer tests. Teacher Muyu, let's get started. Obito couldn't wait any longer. Then Muyu took Obito to the river and explained, the river here is only 15 meters wide. You need to cross it within 10 seconds, and you can't fall into the water. After talking to Obito, Muyu created more than 10 shadow clones and stood by the river, ready to perform ninjutsu. At first, when Obito heard that there was a full 10 seconds, he was excited. The total distance was only 15 meters, but there was a full 10 seconds. But after Obito saw Muyu create so many shadow clones, Obito was a little uneasy and had a terrible guess in his mind. I saw more than a dozen Muyus forming seals in a neat manner, and soon there were more than a dozen thick water dragons rushing back and forth along the river. Obito was dumbfounded when he saw the water dragons that almost filled the river surface. Is this called a certain degree of interference? With so many water dragon bullets rushing back and forth, he felt that there was not much room for him to pass. Obito, are you ready? Get ready and I'll start the timer, Muyu asked. If it weren't for the river, it would be much easier to perform water escape than in a waterless place. It would be difficult for him to complete this operation with his current chakra. I'm ready. Let's start, Obito said with a stiff face. I have already agreed with Muyu to start the challenge, so I have to do it even if I can't. Obito was thinking frantically about how to complete the challenge of the second level. Although he had dodged water dragon bullets while treading water during the previous training, the number of water dragon bullets in the treading water training was completely different from the number of water dragon bullets in the second level challenge. During the treading water training, there was only 1 water dragon bullet in the river, and you just had to be careful not to be knocked over by the waves caused by the rolling water dragon bullet. But this challenge, the river was filled with water dragon bullets, and finding a place to stand was a test of eyesight. Begin, Muyu shouted while using ninjutsu. After hearing Muyu's start, Obito had to dive into the river full of water dragon bullets. Obito still had a glimmer of luck in his heart. He thought that he might be able to rush through it by closing his eyes and rushing. After all, it was only 15 meters away. But the challenge that Muyu wanted was not something that could be passed by luck alone. Obito had just advanced less than 3 meters when he was hit by a fast-attacked water dragon bullet and fell into the river, drinking a big mouthful of river water. I'm sorry, the challenge failed. Muyu stopped the ninjutsu, quickly picked up Obito and said, Teacher Muyu, your challenge is too difficult. How can we get through so many water dragon bullets? Obito complained. He felt that he had failed just after starting. There is plenty of time. There are 10 seconds. Why don't you stop and observe the movement pattern of the water dragon bullet before you start to act? Muyu reminded. Obito does not think twice before he acts, but it is possible to think 3 times before he acts. He thinks that even Obito, after suffering 3 losses, should think carefully. Teacher Muyu, then I will try again. Obito felt that he was reckless just now when he heard Muyu's words. He was only shocked by the water dragon bullets in the river and did not pay attention to the details. If you challenge again, you will need a ticket for 100 questions. Are you sure you need to challenge now? Muyu smiled at Obito. Obito thought about the 3 test papers he had just received yesterday. and finally gave up. Although there was Muyu's reminder, the difficulty of this level was here, and it was difficult to pass it. Once you fail to pass it, it will be a waste of 100 questions. Obito does not want to do such a stupid thing, then start practicing. Today I will teach you a special chakra application technique that can increase speed. If you can practice well, you should be able to sprint across the river. Muyu said. Teacher Muyu, you are my six paths sage. Obito was very excited to hear Muyu's words, and suddenly saw the dawn of victory again. Then practice well. Muyu put her fingers together and knocked on Obito's head. I have been practicing well. Obito laughed. Then Muyu began to explain some of the techniques of shaving to Obito. At 3:30 p.m. on Monday, Muyu began his first strength test. This time he did not ask the teacher for help in the ninja school, but split into two shadow clones, each of whom scored a group. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book bar's first novel. Gang Ziti. Shadow clone Muyu took out a form and began to call students to start the test. Hearing his name, Gang Ziti stepped forward quickly. Gang Ziti quickly formed a seal and used the transformation technique, clone technique, and substitution technique, then performed a set of physical techniques, and finally took out the shuriken and threw it at the target 30 meters away. A small improvement. Keep working hard, Muyu commented after scoring. Okay, thank you, Teacher Muyu. Hearing Muyu's praise, Gang Ziti nodded with satisfaction. Shinzuki Izumo. Muyu continued to shout. Shinzuki Izumo also quickly stepped forward and began to show his strength. After Muyu finished grading, she found that Shinzuki Izumo and Gang Ziti were similar in the group test, and their progress in a week was also similar. Maybe this is the bond between the Gate God brothers. Even the progress of training must be kept the same. Mitarashi Redbin. Muyu continued to shout. Hearing Muyu's voice, Redbin trotted forward, first greeted Muyu with a bright smile, and then began to use ninjutsu to show his strength. Hearing Muyu calling Redbin's name, Shinzuki Izumo and Gang Ziti were a little nervous, and they didn't relax until they saw Redbin's performance. Although stronger than them, it is not strong enough. It should not be directly promoted to Group B. At least the score should be a little higher. Izumo, we will definitely make a big splash in the actual combat test next week. Gang Ziti smiled brightly when he thought of the nearly perfected technique of confusing the enemy. Yes, with Brother Ebisu's genius ideas, we will definitely sweep Group C. Shinayu Izumo nodded. It's a pity that Brother Ebisu is indifferent to fame and fortune, and he doesn't want us to reveal that this genius idea comes from him. Gang Ziti sighed. Brother Ebisu can choose not to be famous, but we can't not give it to him. If we can win a big victory, we will bring Brother Ebisu to fame together. Shinayu Izumo said that people must be grateful. Izumo, it has to be you. Otherwise I will make a mistake. Gang Ziti patted Shinayu Izumo on the shoulder, and they both smiled. Please subscribe and please give me a monthly ticket. Chapter 87. Their respective achievements. Benzu Litong. Muyu asked the student whose name was called to come up to take the test. Benzu Litong quickly walked to the test space and began to use a earth escape ninjutsu. Then he pulled out his kunai and showed off a very sharp physical move. He quickly threw 3 shuriken at the target 50 meters away. Although not all of them hit the bullseye, they all hit. Then Benzu Litong ran to the big tree and walked on the big tree as if it were flat ground. The chakra absorption was very stable. When he stepped on the water, he was able to withstand the waves brought by the water dragon bomb and did not fall into the water. Muyu thought about it and gave Benzu Litong 7 points for ninjutsu, 7.5 points for seal, 8.7 points for physical, 6 points for shuriken throwing, and 7.8 points for chakra control. Benzu Litong has a good foundation and is also excellent in physical skills, but the other aspects are a little bit worse. Muyu used a higher level of scoring standard for the students in Group A, rather than the standard used when grouping. Uchiha Obito. Muyu continued to read the next person's name. It's a pity that Lin is in Group B. It would be better if she was in Group A. Obito thought to himself after he walked up to Muyu and said hello. After challenging Muyu's physical skills, Obito found these test items very simple, so he regretted that he couldn't let No Harlin see him shine. Great Fireball Technique. Obito decisively used his most proficient fire escape ninjutsu, and spurted out a 4-meter-high great fireball with all his strength, which looked extremely terrifying. Since Muyu helped him improve the great fireball last time, Obito has basically been using the great fireball that looks more powerful, although it will waste more chakra. Damn, the level of students in ninja schools is so high now. Bingzu Liton was a little surprised to see that Obito could use such an amazing fire escape. It looks even more powerful than the great fireball of Uchiha Shisui last time. Are the students of the Uchiha clan all monsters? It feels more powerful than Asuma's fire escape. Yui Kurenai nodded and said, his fire escape technique is useless and can't hit anyone. Asuma saw that Kurenai thought he was not good enough, so he quickly stood up and said, the great fireball technique has a relatively slow flight speed and cannot change direction, so it is usually used as a feint. Asuma explained. Asuma could still understand the great fireball technique with his fire escape technique, but he had nothing to say about Obito's performance afterwards. Whether it was physical skills or other items, Obito performed very well and did not have any particular bias. Might Guy. After being called up, Might Guy also used ninjutsu first according to the order, but he only mastered the three-body technique. Finally, they saw a student who used the three-body technique, and he didn't use it very well. Lei Tong and Asuma smiled, but the next moment, the physical skills displayed by Might Guy froze their smiles. What a fast kick, it feels faster than Lei Tong. Asuma had a headache. He thought he had finally found a normal student, but it turned out to be a super biased student. Raito Bianzu didn't say anything. He felt that he might not be able to defeat Might Guy in a pure physical duel. Asuma noticed that some students around him were very calm and looked like they were used to it, so he went up to ask. After asking, Asuma found out that Might Guy was the top student in the 4th grade, and he got the top spot by defeating Obito. Instantly, Asuma felt that Might Guy might be even more powerful than he just showed. Uchiha Shisui. When Muyu read Shisui's name, the atmosphere suddenly became quiet, and the students stared at Shisui who was walking forward. Since Shisui defeated Raito Bianzu on the first day of the summer special training, all the students knew that there was such a ruthless person as Uchiha Shisui. Asuma didn't want to look at Shisui anymore. He knew without looking at him that he must be the strongest. After all, he was the one who could beat him. As he expected, Shisui's scores in every test were perfect, and his overall performance easily surpassed everyone before him. Asuma Saratobi. Asuma heard his own name when he least wanted to hear it. If he went up to take the exam now, others would definitely compare him with Shisui, and this comparison would be a failure. However, Asuma would not run away. After a few seconds of hesitation, he still went up. It doesn't matter if he can't compete. At least no one knows that he boasted and was abused before. When the get out of class was about to end, Muyu finished grading all the students. He only needed to finish the ranking before announcing the results to everyone. Will there be rewards? Muyu ranked the students while thinking that if there were rewards, he would have a small test every day and a big test every 3 days. The main goal was to get as much wool from the system as possible. When the get out of class was over, Muyu had just sorted everything out. Muyu posted the sorted rankings and scores on the wooden board prepared in advance and announced the end of the get out of class directly. The students did not rush to leave the training ground, but gathered around the notice board to check the results. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book bar released this novel. The total score is only 24. Hongdu scratched her hair, not very satisfied. When she was in the ninja school, her scores were usually above 35 points. As expected, she was not on the list of promotions. Rather than saying that she was not there, it would be better to say that only Ebisu was promoted from Group B to Group A among more than 300 people. Shinayu Izumo and Gang Zidi next to them kept silent when they heard Hongdu's words, because they had not even broken through 20 points. They were soon attracted by the promotion list below. Brother Ebisu is indeed a genius. Gang Zidi saw that there was only Ebisu on the promotion list, and he admired Ebisu even more in his heart. Indeed, it is so desirable to be the leader alone. Shinayu Izumo nodded and said, but when we completely perfected this week, We will be Brother Ebisu next week, Gangziti said with great enthusiasm. He is fully confident in the perfect technique of confusing the enemy. Even if the score is not high, he will still sweep everything in the practical test. Shinayu Izumo also has the same idea as Gangziti, and both of them showed extremely expectant smiles. Ziti Izumo and others are becoming more and more incomprehensible. Looking at the two people who were laughing foolishly, Hongdu was a little confused. Asuma squeezed in and took a look at the ranking of Group A. Fortunately, he ranked third in the comprehensive score, only slightly lower than Shisui and Obito. I have to practice harder this week. Asuma felt a strong sense of urgency at this time. Although Might Guy's test score was not high, he might be very strong in actual combat. After all, he defeated Obito in the final exam not long ago, and his teammate Beizu Liton was also a similar actual combat player. Asuma wanted to maintain the third place and fight for the second place in the actual combat test. As for the first place, he had no idea for the time being. Chapter 88 Good Ways to Improve Learning Efficiency failed. After 20 minutes of not seeing any system messages after the results were announced, Miyu was able to learn the results of the preliminary test. The exams she had set up were not good. At least the exams with 2 short intervals were not good. Miyu could only regretfully cancel the exam plan of 1 small exam a day and 1 big exam every 3 days. If the exams could not reap rewards, then doing so would be meaningless and would only make students feel sick. During the evening training, Shisui suddenly appeared in front of Miyu and said with a look of surprise, "Teacher Miyu, I seem to have mastered the shaving technique." Then Shisui performed the shaving technique twice in front of Miyu. After seeing it, Miyu was sure in her heart, but she still gave Shisui an appraisal, and the shaving technique really showed that she had entered the door. Well, you have completed the practice of this technique. Next, you can continue to learn other techniques after getting familiar with them. Miyu closed the panel and nodded. He was going to teach Shisui some more fire escape ninjutsu to increase Shisui's output methods. Shisui learned ninjutsu very quickly, so he could rest assured that Shisui would master more methods. As for Obito, Miyu is not planning to let him learn new fire ninjutsu at the moment. 1 great dragon fire and 1 great fireball are enough for now. If there are more, Obito might have difficulty making choices when fighting. Miyu looked at Might Guy. Might Guy did an appraisal and found that Might Guy's shaving proficiency was still 30 points short of entry. In this case, it will take another week or so to master it, Miyu thought as he closed the panel. Miyu looked at Might Guy, and then at Obito who was practicing the speed increasing technique. And a good idea came to her mind. When Might Guy and Obito were training together before, their body movements improved rapidly. At that time, because they were both practicing physical skills, the main purpose was to make them hit Hinata Kamen, and Hinata Kamen could not hit them. Now they are actually still practicing the same thing. They are all practicing shaving, but Obito has not yet practiced the complete shaving. In essence, they are all practicing the instant body technique to improve speed. Miyu called Obito and Might Guy together and asked with a smile, "Do you feel that your learning efficiency is a little slow now?" Might Guy shook his head. He felt it was normal. Obito's eyes lit up. Since Miyu asked, there must be a way to help them improve their learning efficiency, so Obito quickly answered, "Yes, Teacher Miyu, your speed-up technique is too difficult. Do you have any way to learn quickly?" "Yes, it depends on whether you want it." Miyu nodded and said, "Yes, of course." Obito looked at Miyu with eager eyes. He really wanted to learn quickly and master the speed-up technique, complete the challenge as soon as possible, and learn to shave. "If you can master shaving quickly, I want it too." Might Guy couldn't resist the temptation of fast control. "That's great, you guys run a lap first to show your fastest speed." Miyu smiled gently. The two heard what Miyu said, although they were a little puzzled, but they all followed Miyu's words and burst out with all their strength to show their maximum speed. Miyu silently timed the two in his heart and had a general understanding of their speed. Miyu then said, "In that case, let's compete to see who can break their own speed limit first. For every half a second slower than your speed limit, you will do 5 more questions, and for every half a second faster than your speed limit, you will do 5 fewer questions. Whoever reaches the finish line first can do 30 fewer questions, and each person starts with 40 questions. Muyu thought for a while and said the rules of the game. Since your two speeds are different, your journey will be a little longer. Might Guy has almost learned how to shave, but Obito has not even started to learn the real shave. If the distance is the same, Obito doesn't need to compete, he can just do the questions and be done. Obito was dumbfounded. He didn't expect Muyu's quick learning method to be such a terrifying training that would give him nightmares at night. When he heard the rules, he felt like he was back to the special training for the final preparation, the familiar punishment mechanism, the familiar debt at the beginning, and fast forward, it would enter the installment stage. Teacher Muyu, actually, I think the efficiency is quite high now. Obito wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and tried to save it. Might Guy also showed an expression of agreement and said, I think so too. It has been less than a month since he got rid of the combat exercises. Might Guy doesn't want to go back to the days of doing exercises every day. Well, I thought you would like the training method that combines theory and practice. Muyu showed a disappointed expression and seemed a little sad. I also specially prepared the theoretical knowledge you will learn next semester, but you can only use it when the next semester starts. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _bar first releases this novel. Obito felt a little uncomfortable. He also had a similar experience. It was obviously an idea that he had thought hard about for his companions, but it was easily rejected. Thinking carefully, your idea is indeed good, Muyu teacher. It can not only enhance speed, but also increase theoretical knowledge. In order to comfort Muyu, Obito said with tears in his heart, even if it is to do exercises, you can't let Muyu teacher down. Youth is about more training and more exercises. Might Guy couldn't bear to see Muyu sad, so he quickly changed his words, but when he thought about the future, he couldn't help but burst into tears again. Then let's get ready to start the competition. Muyu smiled gently again. Seeing Muyu's usual warm smile, Obito breathed a sigh of relief, and then he wanted to slap himself twice. Why do you like to interrupt so much? Wouldn't it be okay if you didn't interrupt teacher Muyu when she first mentioned the efficiency of training? Obito cursed in his heart. However, things have come to this point, and Obito has no choice. Since the competition is inevitable, the only thing to do is to minimize the damage in the competition. Every half second of breaking through the limit speed can reduce 5 questions. Although this looks good, breaking through the limit is not that simple. On the contrary, reaching the finish line first can reduce 30 questions in one go, which is the greatest reduction in questions, and it does not necessarily require breaking the limit. Obviously, what Obito can think of, Might Guy can also think of. In any case, the person who reaches the finish line first is the most comfortable. The two looked at each other and saw endless fighting spirit in each other's eyes. There is not only a desire for victory, but also a fear of the questions. Muyu first planned the running route and the final point for the two, and then in a position where both of them could hear the sound clearly. Ready, go, Muyu shouted loudly. The moment he heard Muyu shout, Obito rushed out at full speed without even looking back, using all his strength. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. The gears of fate begin to turn. As long as we get to that place, we can do less questions. Obito ran at full speed. His eyes were red as he stared at the finish line. He had never longed to reach a place so quickly. If someone asked Obito where he wanted to go the most, Obito would answer without hesitation that it was the finish line of the race. Might Guy's distance was longer than Obito's, so Obito could not see Might Guy for the time being. But Obito soon realized from the noise generated by the high-speed running that Might Guy's speed was closing in on him. Obito knew that his speed was not as fast as Might Guy's, and if he was caught up, there would only be one outcome, that is, losing. Obito gritted his teeth, and kept thinking about the chakra technique that Muyu taught him to increase his speed, and condensed more chakra in his legs, wanting to speed up further, surpass him, surpass everyone, and become the strongest. Might Guy felt that his whole body was burning, and he kept moving forward at a high speed, trying to close the distance with Obito. At this moment, he only had eyes for the finish line and Obito not far away. Both of them were running as hard as they could. The closer they were to the finish line, the closer the distance between them became. When they were about to reach the finish line, Obito almost felt that they were running in parallel. Whoosh! Suddenly, Might Guy's figure disappeared from his side and appeared at the finish line. When Obito reached the finish line, he collapsed to the ground with endless regret in his heart. Obito couldn't help but pound the ground with his hands. He had just received 100 questions yesterday, and today he had to receive dozens more. He was afraid that he would have to go back to the days of doing questions in installments. He hated it. Obito surpassed the time by half a second and reduced the number of questions by 5. There are 35 questions left. Akai reached the finish line first and surpassed the time by 1 second. He doesn't have to do any questions this time. Miyu announced the result of the competition. Might Guy smiled and punched in celebration when he heard that he didn't have to do any questions. Miyu used the appraisal technique to take a look at Might Guy and found that the previous game directly increased Might Guy's proficiency by 3 points. You may not be able to do math if you are in a hurry, but you can really learn ninjutsu faster if you are in a hurry. Miyu nodded secretly in his heart. The result of the game just now was very good. Both of them broke through their first full-speed running results. Drink some water and take a rest. Miyu pulled Obito up, helped Obito pat the dust on his body, took out 2 bottles of water, handed one to Might Guy, and opened the lid of the other bottle and handed it to Obito. If you keep going like this, Obito, you will be able to reach the river sprint this week, Miyu said. There are too many compromises in life. Miyu likes to give more poetry and distance to the lost people. Obito took the bottle of water given by Miyu, drank half of it in one gulp, and revived with full blood. Okay, you won today, but don't be happy too early. Tomorrow I will definitely cross the finish line first. Obito wanted Might Guy to endure the pain of doing the questions like himself. Haha. Very motivated, but the one who reaches the finish line first must be me, Might Guy. Might Guy gave Obito a thumbs up. Miyu stood with his hands behind his back, thinking that this is how his disciples should be. To Miyu's regret, it is not convenient for Shisui to join such harmonious and friendly training at present. Part of it is the strength factor, and the other part is that Shisui is very strong in theory and is not afraid of doing questions at all. Moreover, Shisui has learned the Shadow Clone, which can be used directly to help with the questions. On Tuesday, Miyu attended classes as usual. At this time, he had completely mastered the rhythm of the large class, and could control the course scores like the previous ordinary classes to decide whether to obtain chakra or ninjutsu. In the morning, Miyu chose to brush chakra, and in the afternoon, Miyu decided to brush a ninjutsu. You did a rare good thing this time. Teacher Miyu is indeed much better than guiding Jonin in these basic teachings. Bingzu Liton looked at the students in Group B who had mastered climbing trees and treading water under Miyu's guidance, and nodded. If those genin who didn't sign up knew, they would probably regret it to death. Bingzu Liton was a little envious of those students in school. If he had such a good teacher when he was in school, his strength would definitely be much stronger than it is now. Brother, when have I ever cheated you? Just trust me. Asuma patted Bingzu Liton on the shoulder and said, and Miyu's strengths are not just in these basics. As long as Miyu knows it, he can teach it well. How do you know? Bingzu Liton didn't react at first. After remembering it, Bingzu Liton punched Asuma in the chest and said, I almost forgot that he is still your tutor. If Bingzu Liton is regarded as an ordinary player, then Asuma is a Krypton Gold player. Asuma left and understood Bingzu Liton's thoughts to some extent, but if the tutor was not Miyu, he would have driven him away long ago. Although Miyu's teacher is good, the pressure of special training is also great. I feel embarrassed to be suppressed by a group of students in school. Zai Ryong's delicate face showed a sad look. She didn't know how others felt, but she felt a little ashamed to be suppressed by students in school. Read the error-free version at 69 Book Bar. 6=9 plus Book Bar published this novel for the first time. It's okay, Hong. Let's work hard together and strive to get 2 places in the top 3, Asuma said quickly. Why? Do you think I can't compete with you? Bing Zulitan raised his eyebrows and said, assume they really wanted Shisui to show up right now and kick this troublesome light bulb away. You can't understand the atmosphere, right? But Shisui didn't come, but Miyu did. She gave the three some pointers. Busy time always passes quickly, and soon it was time to end the get out of class. Complete a large class teaching, evaluation, award, wind style, vacuum jade, earth style, earth flow river. Both ninjutsu are pretty good, and Miyu is quite satisfied with what she has gained today. Back in the main city, Miyu ran into Minato and Kushina who were about to go out. Miyu, we are going to a meeting. Remember to leave some food for us. Kushina and Miyu waved and said. Minato looked at Miyu helplessly. He was about to say that Miyu didn't have to cook for them today. I will cook a bigger portion of the dishes and make yours at the same time. You can eat by yourselves then. Miyu understood Minato's eyes and smiled gently. It's great to gain favor just by cooking a little more food. Minato and Kushina came back earlier than Miyu expected. Just as Miyu was about to leave for training disciples, Kushina and Minato knocked on the door. Miyu decided to go later, as there was Miyu's permanent shadow clone there, which would not affect basic training. Having a meeting at dinner time must be no small matter. Those barbarians from the land of lightning deserve to die. They took advantage of the leaderlessness of the Sand Village and assembled a large army to launch a surprise attack on the Sand Village. As soon as Kushina started to complain, Miyu basically knew what was going on. The gears of the Third Ninja World War have officially begun to turn. In view of the fact that I have written so much, brothers, please subscribe and give me monthly votes. Chapter 90. The old man with the tube is not to be trifled with. In Miyu's impression, the Third Ninja World War was extremely chaotic. Everyone was attacking each other, and then they attacked Konoha together. Kumagakure attacked Sand Village and Konoha. Iwagakure attacked Konoha and stole the ass of Kumagakure, and Sand Village repelled Kumagakure. Seeing that everyone was attacking Konoha, they joined in. The Mist Ninja, who rarely participated in the Ninja World War, saw that it was so lively, and I thought if I didn't go, it would seem that I was out of place, so I also started to attack Konoha. The wind shadow disappeared, so let's attack Konoha. The Kumagakure barbarians are too hateful, so let's go and attack Konoha. Anyway, if you don't know who to fight, just go and fight Konoha. In the Third Ninja World War, Konoha suffered almost the same fate. If it weren't for the sudden appearance of a tough guy, a golden flash of Minato Namikaze, the outcome of the Third Ninja World War would be hard to say. 10,000 ninjas from Iwagakure surrounded the Third Raikage. Yahiko was forced to death by Danzo and Hanzo. Nagato turned evil. Akaya Madara designed Obito to turn evil. Might Guy opened the Death Gate and beat the 7 ninja swordsmen into the 3 lucky treasures. Miyu recalled the major events that happened in the Third Ninja World War, and could only sigh at the dangers of the ninja world. If it were to develop according to the original work, Nohara Rin would be killed by Kakashi's Rakiri, Obito would directly turn evil and become a psychopath, and Might Guy's father would open the Death Gate and eventually sacrifice himself to protect Might Guy. Only Shisui didn't seem to lose anything in the Third Ninja World War, and he also earned his name as the Instant Body Shisui. But since Shisui opened his Sharingan during the Third Ninja World War, Miyu believed that something Shisui didn't want to see must have happened during this period. There's not much time left to develop. Miyu remembered that not long before Obito turned evil, Kakashi seemed to have just been promoted to a Jonin, becoming a Jonin at the age of 12. Kakashi and Obito are the same age, and Obito is only 8 years old now, which means that if he wants to change all this, he only has 4 years left to grow. Although the exact time of Might Guy's incident is unknown, it should have happened when the war was in full swing, and the time would not be too different. Might Guy's incident was actually not that bad. After all, he was just unlucky to meet the 7 ninja swordsmen. Miyu should be able to deal with it after 3 or 4 years of growth. Obito's incident is very troublesome. On the surface, it seems to be a tragedy caused by a normal war, but it is actually a man-made conspiracy. If he wants to change Obito's blackening situation, his opponents are not the Iwagakure ninjas and the Mist ninjas, but Uchiha Madara and Black Zetsu are hiding in the dark. If he is more optimistic, his opponent is actually just an old man who needs a tube to maintain his life and a pool of black mud. If he is not optimistic, his opponent is Uchiha Madara, the reincarnation of Indra Chakra, the only living samsara eye-opener in the ninja world, and the third son of Kaguya Otsutsuki, the ancestor of Chakra. And Hanyu is just a chunin teacher in the ninja school. Miyu, what are you daydreaming about? Kushina's voice woke Miyu from his deep thoughts. Miyu sighed, then explained, I was just wondering if the war would affect our Konoha. Konoha is not a soft persimmon like Sand Village. If you want to go to war with Konoha, you have to think about the consequences. Kushina is confident in Konoha's strength. Hanyu's worries are not unreasonable. Once the war starts, anything can happen, Minato said in a deep voice. His thoughts are more pessimistic than Miyu's. If Miyu is just thinking about whether the war will affect Konoha, Minato's idea is that the war will definitely spread to Konoha. In normal times, the title of the first ninja village in the ninja world can deter the villains. Once the war starts, Konoha, which is the first, will easily become the target of ambitious ninja villages to make a name for themselves. If you just say that your ninja village is strong, no one will believe it, but if you can beat up the first ninja village, then you are indeed strong. After Minato and Kushina finished their meal, Miyu also left the main city to teach his disciples. He first taught Might Guy how to shave for a while, and then hosted the race between Obito and Might Guy today. Might Guy still won with a slight advantage, but neither of them broke through the limit, because Miyu's rule is that as long as the limit is broken, the new result will be the limit of the next game, not the initial limit data. It is naturally difficult to have new breakthroughs every day, and Miyu was not disappointed. However, this training method is indeed very useful. Might Guy's increased proficiency than usual is the best evidence. Miyu stopped Shisui, who was practicing, and said, "Stop practicing shaving for the time being. I will teach you a new fire escape ninjutsu today." The name of this ninjutsu is Fire Escape Phoenix Chlorid, which is a B-level fire escape, and has great lethality at close and medium distances. Miyu explained the ninjutsu she was going to teach next. If the teaching object is Obito, Miyu will first teach the Phoenix Fire technique and then teach the upgraded version of the Phoenix Claw Red. But the teaching object is Shisui. Shisui has a strong learning ability, and Miyu does not have to worry that Shisui will not learn quickly. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar 6 = 9 +_. Miyu took Shisui to an open space. Fire style, Phoenix Claw Red. Miyu formed a seal and spit out a large mouthful of flames. At the same time, he quickly threw out more than 10 shuriken and rushed towards the wooden man in the open space. The shuriken passed through the flames and merged with the flames. The more than 10 shuriken instantly turned into more than 10 small fireballs and smashed into the wooden man. The sharp shuriken cut off the wooden man's arm and pierced into the wooden man's body. The flames attached to the shuriken ignited the wooden man's body and turned it into ashes. The one thing that Phoenix Chlorid is stronger than Phoenix Fire is that it has shuriken. The sharp shuriken plus the high damage of the hot burning of fire style make it difficult to dodge all of them at close range. Once hit, it will cause great damage. You taught your disciple fire style, Phoenix Chlorid, because your disciple was very grateful and rewarded a critical hit. You obtained the ninjutsu fire style, Fire Dragon Flame Bullet, proficient level. Miyu nodded secretly in his heart, which was considered a small explosion. Fire Dragon Flame Bomb is also a B-rank fire style ninjutsu. In Miyu's memory, it is a ninjutsu of the 3rd generation. It has a wide attack range and fierce fire. It is considered a relatively powerful fire style. After Miyu explained and demonstrated it several times, Miyu asked Shisui to try it himself. Fire style, Balsam Claw Red. Shisui replicated Miyu's actions just now, spitting out flames and then throwing out shurikens, stabbing the shurikens carrying flames at the wooden man. Maybe it was because it was the first time he practiced. Shisui didn't grasp it well, and not all the shurikens were carrying flames. Miyu used the appraisal technique to take a look at Shisui's panel. The proficiency of Balsam Chlorid has reached 3rd taijutsu, and he can get started with a little more practice. As he expected, Shisui's learning ability is very strong, and with his teaching skills, he can learn balsam chloride directly very quickly. 2 days later, Obito thought he had the strength to complete the challenge, and applied to Muyu for the challenge again. Today is also the 5th update, Chapter 91 Mastery Level Fire Extinguishing Arrow. Teacher, I want to challenge the river sprint. Obito found Muyu and told Muyu that he wanted to fight again. It had been 4 days since he failed in the last challenge. During these 4 days, he learned Muyu's special training speed-up skills, and broke through the limit speed in the competition with Might Guy. Obito felt that he had the strength to pass the challenge. Of course, it was mainly because Obito felt that he had always failed in the speed competition because he had not learned how to shave. In addition, there was a practical test in the special training content next week. Obito wanted to master shaving this week, so that the actual combat next week would not be so passive. He wanted to defeat Might Guy once. So far, in the official actual combat duel with Might Guy, Obito has never won once, and each time he was just a little bit short. If Might Guy mastered shaving and he didn't, Obito felt that he would have no chance of winning this time. It would be fine if the difference was too big, but every time he was just a little bit short, Obito was really a little unhappy. Okay, follow me. Muyu nodded and took Obito to the river. The second level is different from the first level. There is no need to set traps in advance, and you can challenge it directly. Muyu created a large number of shadow clones, and then released a large number of water dragon bullets on the river surface. Teacher Muyu, I'm ready. Obito took a deep breath and began to gather chakra to prepare for a sprint. Start. Obito stared at the water dragon bullets, trying to see the hidden pattern in them. Muyu had reminded him after the last failure that so many water dragon bullets were not colliding back and forth randomly, but were moving in a regular pattern. If it was just an ordinary 15-meter treading water, Obito could run over in an instant, but with the interference of water dragon bullets, it would obviously not work to rush directly, and it would be easy to be hit and sent flying. After observing for 2 seconds, Obito finally discovered the secret. There are a total of 12 water dragons on the river surface, with 3 water dragons in a group. The water dragons in the same group have similar advance and retreat patterns. That is, the 12 water dragons can actually be regarded as 4 large water dragons. There is also a pattern between the 4 large water dragons. About every 1.5 seconds, a short safe area will appear between the 2 large water dragons. The time is very short, almost gone in the blink of an eye. After understanding this, Obito rushed out instantly, and it was too late to observe. On the surface, it seems that the time to pass the level is 10 seconds, but in fact, the time to act may not even be half a second. This level tests observation and the speed of instant action. After understanding the rules, it is much easier to pass the challenge. Obito stopped and waited for the opportunity every time he passed 4 water dragons. Standing on the water, Obito stared at the ferocious water dragons, not daring to slack off. He could not make any mistakes. The second level had too little room for error compared to the first level. Muyu looked at Obito like this, thinking that if Obito could keep this calm and cautious attitude, the improvement in combat power would definitely be no less than learning an advanced ninjutsu. Success. When he rushed through the last 4 water dragons and came to the shore, Obito couldn't help cheering. Teacher Muyu, the time should not have exceeded it, right? Obito asked a little worriedly. Muyu nodded and smiled and replied, no, you successfully completed the physical challenge. Great, then I should be able to learn shaving now? Obito jumped up with joy, watching Might Guy, Shisui and the others flashing around, which made him greedy. This is the training method and experience of shaving. Remember to read it more. Muyu handed Obito a scroll. I will definitely read it carefully until I can memorize it. Obito excitedly opened the scroll and found that the content was somewhat familiar to him. Thinking carefully, some of the content here is the chakra technique that Muyu taught him to increase speed before. Obito understood everything instantly. It's not that Muyu didn't want to teach him shaving. In fact, since he challenged Muyu's physical challenge, Muyu had already planned to teach him shaving. The forest sprint in the first level is to test his physical fitness, and the second level directly taught him part of the content of shaving. Teacher Muyu, You are really the best teacher in the world. Obito understood Muyu's good intentions and was very moved. You gave your disciple the training scroll for shaving. The disciple was very grateful and rewarded him with a big critical hit, and obtained Fire Style, Great Fire Slayer, Mastery. The reward returned by the apprentice today was better than Muyu had imagined. It was a big explosion, and a master-level ninjutsu was revealed, and it was the powerful Great Fire Slayer. I almost forgot. This is your ticket fee. I forgot to give it at the beginning. Muyu smiled and took out 3 test papers and handed them to Obito. Obito's smile froze on his face. He said why he felt something was missing. It turned out to be the test paper. Only this he hoped Muyu's memory was a little worse. Since you have forgotten it, let it go. Obito's head was already dizzy when he saw the test paper. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. Muyu tapped Obito with 2 fingers together and said, "It's a nice idea, but although it can't be exempted, I can give you an interest-free installment once." Hearing that he could be interest-free, Obito was happy again, so that he could do a lot less questions. Next, Muyu took Obito to practice shaving. Finally, he could practice the cool instant body technique, and coupled with the hardship of the process to obtain it, Obito practiced very seriously. Hongdu felt that her 2 brothers were quite strange recently. They were together all day long, talking about something and laughing secretly. "Do you have something fun that you didn't tell me?" The straightforward Hongdu went directly to Gangziti and Shinnu Izumo. "There is nothing fun. We are preparing for the actual combat test next week," Gangziti explained. "Really?" Hongdu looked at Gangziti with suspicion. "Don't insult our honest character with your suspicious eyes." Shinnu Izumo said that they were indeed preparing for the actual combat test. "Then how did you prepare?" Hongdu asked. Gangziti and Shinnu Izumo looked at each other for a while, and finally replied, "It's not appropriate to tell you about the preparations this time." Although they are good brothers, they would not mistake Hongdu's gender. "If you don't want to tell me, then don't tell me. I'll see what tricks you can come up with on Monday," Hongdu said with a puffed face. She decided that if they met in the practical test on Monday, they must strike hard and punish the Riddler. As the practical test approached, everyone was preparing for the test. Some wanted to be promoted to a higher level group through excellent performance, while others wanted to show themselves because they were cared about by others. On Saturday afternoon, Asuma asked Muyu to increase his training. There are 3 more chapters to come. Chapter 92 Breath of Fire. "Teacher Muyu, I think I can handle more pressure. Please give me extra training," Asuma asked Muyu seriously. The first practical test will start in 2 days. Asuma feels that he can struggle a little longer. This time it is not a secret battle with only Muyu present. Zairi Hong will also see it. Even if he loses, he has to lose decently. "Why do you suddenly need extra training? Is it for the practical test?" Muyu asked with a smile. The thoughts of a little brat like Asuma are too easy to guess. "Well, you guessed it, teacher." Asuma smiled embarrassedly. "Just temporary extra training can't improve your strength." Muyu denied Asuma's idea. "If you are taking the theory test, cramming is a bit useful. If you encounter the review content during the exam, you will get a little extra points. For practical combat, it will be ineffective to practice more in the last 2 days, because practicing more in these 2 days will not have any obvious improvement on the body. Unless you have a strong learning ability, learning 1 ninjutsu a day, you will learn 2 more ninjutsu in 2 days, which is useful. But Asuma obviously does not have such learning ability. "What should I do?" Asuma asked, and he placed his hope on the omnipotent teacher Muyu. "Do you really want to improve your strength?" Muyu asked. It's not that he doesn't have a way, but the process is more tragic. "It couldn't be more true," Asuma replied. "If you want to improve your strength in just 2 days, then the only way is to fight." Muyu thought about it and said, "There are only 2 days, and the only way Muyu can think of is to fight a lot. In other words, to get beaten a lot. Fight with my shadow clones. In the next period of time, as long as you still have the strength to stand up, keep fighting with my shadow clones. In this way, even in 2 days, you can improve your strength to a certain extent." In the actual combat test, fighting is the content of the exam. Asuma's large number of battles is equivalent to brushing the theoretical exam papers, which is much more reliable than 2 days of extra training. Asuma could feel how miserable it would be just by listening to Muyu, but for the sake of Yui Kurenai, he had no choice but to nod and agree. It can only be said that if you want to be noble in front of others, you have to suffer behind others. In the following time, Asuma was basically beaten by Muyu's shadow clones. Even if Muyu deliberately suppressed the shadow clones, Asuma could not defeat them now. When Asuma was exhausted and leaned against a big tree to rest, he complained, "If you ask me, the old man is just blind." Teacher Muyu, a ninja like you is still a chunin. If you ask me, you should be promoted to jonin. When Muyu fought with him just now, including the shadow clones, Muyu used a total of 8 ninjutsu, including fire escape and water escape. The ninjutsu configuration was also good, with both attack and defense. "I am indeed not qualified to be promoted to jonin now," Muyu denied. Based on his performance just now, at most he is a chunin who knows a little more ninjutsu, but Asuma thinks so because he is too weak. Sarutobi Hiruzen, are you watching? Muyu thought to himself with an unchanged expression. The reason why he suddenly showed some strength was not because he wanted to help Asuma train, but for the third generation to see. Even if the third generation himself was not watching, it would be seen by the monitoring Anbu and then reported to the third generation. Muyu's idea was very simple, that is, to lay the groundwork. Sarutobi Hiruzen knew everything about him. As long as Muyu did not show anything too outrageous, then from the perspective of the third generation, this was Muyu's own talent. In fact, Muyu had laid the groundwork once before, and it was the kind of laying the groundwork with witnesses, that is, when Kushina said that Muyu had a talent for practicing the seal technique. As the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, Kushina was naturally monitored by the Anbu. It was precisely because of this that Muyu showed that he had a talent for the seal technique. Otherwise, with his caution, he should have pretended to have practiced it in 10 days. With the talent for the seal technique, he is particularly strong in teaching, and his strength as a ninja is not bad. Such a young man would be more worthy of being saved. Muyu is showing himself in the perspective of blocking. He showed his value when the root can't see him but the third generation can. If he is fished out of the root, he can show his value further and don't have to worry about the root's problems. Because after Muyu was transferred to the third generation, as long as he didn't suddenly show abnormal strength, his next progress was that the talent that the root couldn't find was discovered and cultivated by the third generation. Muyu wanted to develop steadily, but he would not always be a chunin teacher, because the identity of a chunin teacher actually limits his development limit. If he really always honestly became an ordinary chunin teacher, would he have the opportunity to have this summer special training? I'm afraid he would have to be called by Danzo to work as a laborer in the root during the holidays. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time. The higher the status, the stronger the strength shown, and the greater the space for Muyu to brush rewards. For example, he wanted to reform the curriculum of the ninja school and add some public courses for several classes to take together. If he was just an ordinary teacher, no one would listen to his suggestions. But if he does a good job in this summer special training and is promoted to a special jonin, Muyu feels that his suggestion will be taken seriously. On Sunday morning, Muyu was training Obito in shaving. At this time, Might Guy and Shisui had already mastered the art, so Obito was the only one learning. Shaving is actually very simple, just use the technique you used before by stacking it 3 or more times. Muyu explained while demonstrating, "My legs will fail, it's so difficult." Obito tried again according to Muyu's instructions, but unfortunately he still failed. It was easy for Muyu to say it, and it didn't feel difficult when he was thinking about the action in his mind. But when he really put it into practice, Obito felt that the ease just now was all an illusion. It was too difficult, not to mention stacking it 3 times. He couldn't even be stable after stacking it twice. Just practice more. Shisui and the others didn't learn it in a few days. Muyu said. He used the appraisal technique to take a look at Obito's proficiency, and it was already more than 40 points. Because he had split a part of it and taught it to Obito before, he would be able to get started quickly when he actually started teaching. Until the end of the training, Obito was still unable to complete the burst of stacking 3 times, but he was able to stack it twice more stably, which was a decent improvement. Under your guidance, Uchiha Obito, the disciple, has practiced hard and gained a certain increase in strength. He was rewarded with the breathing of flame, proficient level. Miyu was a little surprised. He didn't expect it to be another breathing method. When Miyu checked the memory of the breathing of flame that suddenly appeared in his mind, he was instantly surprised by the Naruto version of the breathing of flame. Although they are both breathing methods, the effect is completely different from the breathing of rock. It can be called a secret technique. Chapter 93 5 Elements Seal and Contract Seal. The breath of fire can actually enhance the power of fire escape. The breath of fire in the Naruto version can also enhance physical fitness, but this is not the main function of the breath of fire. The main function of the breath of fire is to strengthen the fire escape. The beginners of the breath of fire can use full concentration breathing to instantly increase the speed of the change of the nature of the fire attribute chakra and enhance the power of the flame. After the breath of fire is proficient, you can enter the state of constant middle, so that the two effects of accelerated nature change and enhanced flame power are normalized, and have a stronger burst of power. The pattern mode after mastering is even more terrifying. It can directly transform all chakra into flames without obstacles. All fire escape ninjutsu can be performed immediately without seals, greatly enhancing the power of flames. After the system's magic modification, the breath of fire has nothing to do with the original demon's lair. It does not need to hold a knife. It can be said to be a fire escape chakra mode. There are many chakra modes in Naruto. The more common and practical one is the Sage mode. If you are a Jinchuriki, you can have the opportunity to practice the Tailed Beast chakra mode, and there is also the Lightning Escape chakra mode of Kumagekure. Miyu even thought that Susanoo could be considered a chakra mode limited to the Mangekyo. Some chakra modes can be used in combination. Miyu dared not imagine how powerful the fire escape would be if the Sage mode and the flame breathing mark were used together. Although the reward was not the moon step as envisioned, Miyu was very satisfied. The localized flame breathing was very effective, which could not only enhance his own strength, but also be suitable for his disciples to practice. Shisui and Obito's main attack ninjutsu are both fire escape, and they are both very suitable for flame breathing. While having dinner in the evening, Miyu told Kushina that he had successfully practiced the 3-finger seal. It has been successfully practiced, and a month has passed quite quickly. Kushina took a bite of the food and sighed. It's not a month, it's 27 days. Minato corrected. He remembered when Kushina gave Miyu the 3-finger seal, and after counting the days, he found that Miyu's practice speed was a few days faster than Kushina had expected. 27 days and a month are almost the same. I can't predict the future, so it's impossible to be 100% accurate. Kushina waved her hand and said, "But you can finish it earlier than I expected, which shows that your talent for sealing is really good." Kushina praised. "It just so happens that I have recently finished writing down my insights on practicing sealing. I will give you the insights and the sealing techniques you are going to practice after dinner. I also wrote down some of my insights when practicing sealing. It may not be as professional as Kushina's, but it should be helpful to you," Minato said. Although his sealing technique was completely taught by Kushina, everyone has different ideas when learning. Minato thinks that his insights should also be able to help Miyu. "Thank you for your hard work, Teacher Kushina and Teacher Minato," Miyu thanked. "Then make more delicious food for Minato and me to taste." Kushina grinned. Although she felt that she didn't work that hard, Miyu said it, and it would be a waste of this good opportunity if she didn't mention it. "Can you eat spicy food?" Miyu thought for a while and asked. When he was teaching Kushina and Minato to cook before, he made a magical mapo tofu. If he remembered correctly, it was the recipe from Jaldagia, and the taste should not be bad. "No problem, Miyu, just do it," Kushina replied. "It's okay, it's acceptable." Minato thought for a while and said, "They thought a dish could be much spicier. At worst, they just didn't eat the chili in it." "That's no problem. I'll make you a dish that's so delicious that it glows tomorrow night," Miyu said with a smile. I only suspect that something strange is added to the dish when it glows. Kushina complained. Is it true that when the food is extremely delicious, it will glow? Minato thought about this question seriously. He remembered that the egg fried rice that Miyu made before seemed to be glowing faintly. After dinner, Kushina and Minato returned home and took their cultivation insights and walked into the house where Miyu lived again. The two handed the scroll to Miyu, and Miyu took the scroll and thanked him again. The scroll of sealing technique records 3 sealing techniques in total, in addition to the 5-finger seal and the advanced sealing technique corresponding to the 5-finger seal. There is also a contract seal, which is enough for you to practice for a year. Kushina said, it sounds difficult. I will often ask you questions when the time comes. Miyu put the scroll away and said with a smile, ask as much as you want. It may not be easy for you, but these are things I am very familiar with, Kushina said very confidently. After Kushina and Minato left, Miyu took the scroll of sealing technique to the second floor to start learning. After opening the scroll of sealing technique, Miyu found that the advanced ninjutsu corresponding to the 5-finger seal is actually the 5-element seal. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar published this novel for the first time. Miyu thought that Kushina was indeed generous and believed in his talent enough to give him the advanced sealing technique of the 5-element seal. After learning the seal technique for a while, he also knew what the 5-element seal represented. It was a very difficult seal technique, and even a senior ninja who was good at sealing techniques might not be able to master it. Miyu felt that the reason why the 5-finger seal existed was to reduce the difficulty of learning the 5-element seal. Miyu took a look at the contract seal and felt that it was quite interesting. The contract seal could cut off the contractual relationship between the caster and the summoned beast, causing the caster to lose control of the summoning technique and be unable to summon the summoning technique again. Since it can cut off the contractual relationship, if it is improved, it can also cut off other relationships. Miyu has always speculated that the tongue root seal may have the function of actively activating. With Danzo's caution, this is not impossible. If the relationship between the tongue root seal and Danzo, the caster, can be cut off, then the threat of the tongue root seal to him will be greatly reduced. Because the condition for the tongue root seal to be triggered is to reveal the secrets of Danzo and the root, and it will never be triggered as long as he doesn't say these. First learn the 5-finger seal, then the 5-element seal and the contract seal, and try to finish it in 1 month. Miyu thought to himself. He also has 2 ninjutsu proficiency scrolls, which can directly bring the entry-level ninjutsu to the proficient level. He plans to use them on the 5-element seal and the contract seal. When the 2 sealing techniques reach the proficient level, they can also give him more feedback on sealing techniques. On Monday afternoon, Miyu started the practical test. At this time, the students in the summer special training had been studying for 2 weeks, and each of them had made some progress. The rules of the practical test are basically the same as the rules of the ninja school practical test, and the opponent is determined by random drawing. The 5th chapter is still being written, and there will be more later, but it will be a bit late. Chapter 94, The Battle Between Crouching Dragon and Phoenix. Number 1 Gang Ziti vs Number 2 Shen Chu-yun. Miyu read out the names of the students in the first battle. Shen Chu-yun and Gang Ziti heard that they actually met in the first round, and couldn't help but sigh that God was blind, and let the 2 brothers kill each other in the first round. Ziti, I thought today was the day for you and me to become famous. It's really God's jealousy of talents. Shen Chu-yun sighed. He didn't expect that he and Gang Ziti had such bad luck that they actually met in the first round. Yes. Gang Ziti also nodded with a sad face. If they didn't meet, with the perfected enemy confusing technique, they might be able to meet in a decisive battle and create a good story. Chu-yun, the perfected enemy confusing technique is very powerful. It's better to ban this technique when you and I fight each other, Gang Ziti suggested. Shen Chu-yun thought about it, smiled and nodded, and said, that's great. You two don't pretend to be ancient here. Hurry up and enter the battlefield to prepare for the battle. Don't waste time, Hongdu said speechlessly. Ignoring Hongdu, who didn't understand the sense of ritual, The two walked towards the battle area and got ready for the battle. The battle begins, Miyu shouted when she saw that the two were ready. After hearing Miyu's start, the two rushed towards each other quickly and started close combat, but the two were of similar level, and they had been together for a long time and were taught by the same teacher. For a while, the fight was evenly matched. Gangziti swung his right fist and Shinnu Izumo also swung his right fist. Gangziti elbowed Shinnu Izumo and also elbowed. The two fought each other for 2 minutes without a clear winner. It's almost time, Gangziti said in his heart. Although we are brothers, the world of ninjas is very cruel. I will inherit Izumo's one. Continue to win. Gangziti prepared to use the confuse enemy technique with a guilty heart. Ziti, I'm sorry. I'm a ninja. Shinnu Izumo smiled and quickly formed a seal. He was going to use the confuse enemy technique. Just kidding. How could he not use the ninjutsu that he had practiced so hard? He agreed to Gangziti just to paralyze him. Konoha swears. Gangziti instantly retracted his guilt. This kid, Izumo Kamatsuki, is even more dishonest than him. As Izumo Kamatsuki completed the seal, 4 older sister clones wearing cool clothes and with the charm of Izumo Kamatsuki instantly appeared on the field. Even though he had performed this ninjutsu many times, Gangziti still subconsciously slowed down the speed of the seal, and his sight unconsciously drifted to the magnificent mountains. Not only Gangziti, but also many onlookers were attracted by the huge gravity and looked at the magnificent mountains. Miyu was stunned for a second, thinking that this was not the seduction technique developed by Naruto. Why did it come out in advance? This butterfly blowing is a bit improper. Izumo Kamatsuki took advantage of Gangziti's daze and kicked Gangziti down with a flying kick. Gangziti, who was attacked, woke up instantly, thinking that this ninjutsu was so terrifying that even a man with a strong will like him was hit. The sober Gangziti quickly distanced himself from the opponent, and while running, he formed a seal and released a ninjutsu. As Gangziti released the ninjutsu, 4 different but equally cool-dressed elder sister clones soon appeared on the field. Looking at the elder sister who suddenly appeared, Shinnu Izumo's pursuit gradually slowed down, and Gangziti took the opportunity to counterattack. These two idiots, how can this clone be useful? It looks so weak. Hongdu felt that Gangziti and Shinnu Izumo were making random changes. The fight on the open ground was fierce, and the people off the field were very satisfied. In the end, Shinnu Izumo was slightly better and won the first battle. Izumo, this is not your power, it is the power of brother Ebisu. Gangziti felt that he did not lose in strength, but in face, he actually did not take the initiative because of his guilt. Brother Ebisu is indeed the first to perfect this ninjutsu, but winning is winning. I will continue to win with your will, Ziti. Shinnu Izumo smiled proudly. The students off the field heard the conversation between the two and started discussing it. Ebisu, could it be that the senior who was the only one to advance last week actually took the lead in developing this ninjutsu? Some students felt a little unbelievable. In the last strength test, Ebisu was the only one to advance to Class A, so he has a lot of popularity in Group C. It's him, I know him, he and I are in the same class, Class 4. Class 6. One of Ebisu's classmates came out and nodded. To be honest, this technique may be quite useful. Is he a genius? Someone analyzed seriously. In any case, Ebisu has become famous in Group C, but it's a pity that Izumo Kamatsuki only had one chance to enjoy himself. His opponent in the second round was Yuzuki Yujao. Yuzuki Yujao, the clone of Izumo Kamatsuki, didn't even look at him, and kept chasing Izumo Kamatsuki. Izumo Kamatsuki was no match and was quickly defeated. Damn, I almost forgot there are female students. Izumo Kamatsuki found that the technique of confusing the enemy still has shortcomings. Izumo, this is the end of backstabbing your brother. Gangziti laughed loudly. Group A is also conducting actual combat tests. Number 1 Uchiha Shisui vs. Number 2 Yui Kurenai. Is he the one who will fight in the first battle? Yui Kurenai was slightly stunned when she heard her name. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6=9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. She had only known Shisui for more than 10 days, but Shisui had already left a deep impression on her. The seniors and the team were easily defeated, and he topped the list of the strength test as a student of the school year. Kurenai, Just do your best, Asuma comforted her. Be careful of his speed. He is very fast, Hazulitan reminded. The reason he lost that time was that he underestimated Shisui's speed. Yui Kurenai nodded, calmed down and walked towards the open space, with a very determined look in her eyes. The battle begins. When she really fought with Shisui, Yui Kurenai knew that Hazulitan's loss was not unfair. Her physical skills and ninjutsu were suppressed in all aspects, and she had almost no power to fight back. She had already done her best just to deal with the attack. In the end, Yui Kurenai could not withstand Shisui's offensive and soon lost the battle. Akaya Shisui wins. Muyu announced the result of the battle. He used the appraisal to see the potential of Yui Kurenai, which was not bad, an A. However, Yui Kurenai's talent is an illusion, while the illusion of the Hokage is indeed a bit embarrassing. If you don't count the Mangekyo ability, basically no one can beat him. It's okay, Lei Tong also lost to him. This guy is too talented. Asuma comforted him in time. The person lying next to him glared at Asuma in a bit of dissatisfaction. It's comforting to pierce his heart, right? Number 17 Uchiha Obito vs. Number 18 Might Guy. Another day of 10,000. Please vote for the monthly ticket and subscribe, and also recommend a friend's book titled, In This Life, Dogs Don't Talk About Love in the First Life. I confessed to my childhood sweetheart, but was rejected. She said she only treated me as a brother. In the second life, I saved a white, rich and beautiful senior schoolmate. I thought I could have a sweet love, but who would have thought that the white, rich and beautiful senior schoolmate caused me a psychological shadow for my whole life. In the third life, I woke up. In this life, dogs don't even talk about love. Woof, woof woof, exclamation mark. Chapter 95, Obito can't play without the wind. They actually met in the first round. The fourth-year students watching the game felt sorry. Might Guy and Obito were the top two in the fourth-year practical test. Even in the strongest Group A, they had the strength to enter the top four. But if they met in advance, one of them was destined to be eliminated early. No matter who wins between Obito and Might Guy, there will be one less strong opponent in the future. Asuma thought to himself when he saw Might Guy and Obito meet in the first round. He was not as familiar with Might Guy as Obito, and he did not know Might Guy's specific practical ability. But since Might Guy could defeat Obito in the practical test, his strength must not be underestimated. Thinking of this, Asuma showed a serious expression and prepared to collect information about Obito and Might Guy through this battle. The first game is the battle with Akai. Obito showed a tricky expression. Might Guy has completed the training of shaving, but he has not yet completed it, and has not been able to stack 3 times at the same time. But Obito did not feel that he had no hope of winning. Their current strength is not enough to support them to use shaving multiple times in a short period of time, which puts too much pressure on the leg muscles. So he can only say that he is at a slight disadvantage, not that he can't fight. Might Guy saw that his first opponent was Obito, and he felt excited. The two quickly walked to the battleground and prepared to start the battle. Begin. Seeing that the two had set up their positions, Muyu quickly announced the start of the battle. As soon as Muyu finished speaking, Might Guy's figure disappeared directly on the spot. Konoha's Great Tornado. Might Guy's passionate voice spread throughout Group A. The opponent was Obito. They practiced together every day and knew each other too well, so Might Guy did not make a tentative attack, but went all out as soon as he attacked. He first instantly completed the triple speed razor and rushed towards Obito at full speed, and then directly kicked his strongest kick. So fast. The surrounding students were surprised by Might Guy's speed. They only felt that Might Guy seemed to have teleported just now, and his figure instantly disappeared on the spot. What a fast instant body technique! Asuma was even more surprised, because he also knew the instant body technique, but the speed was not as fast as Might Guy, and he also needed to make a seal. Obito and Might Guy had opposite ideas. Might Guy wanted to rush up for a close fight, while Obito wanted to use shave to distance himself and use ninjutsu. However, since Obito was a little slower, he was still kicked by Might Guy's heel attack. Although he blocked it with his arm, the kick had already made Obito's arm tremble uncontrollably. Being at a disadvantage from the beginning made Obito's mind work rapidly. He knew that if he fell into Might Guy's attack rhythm, he would definitely lose. So Obito made a quick decision and used shave twice in a row to distance himself from Might Guy. Might Guy quickly followed, but was still pulled away by Obito for a distance because Might Guy only used shave once. I won, Might Guy judged in his heart. Including the first round of confrontation, Obito used shave 3 times in 1 minute. Might Guy was so much stronger than Obito that he didn't dare to use it. Next, Obito couldn't even run fast, let alone continue to use the instant body technique, fire style, great fireball technique. Obito endured the pain in his legs, quickly formed a seal and used the fire style ninjutsu, spitting out a 3-meter-high fireball. The huge fireball burning with blazing flames smashed towards Might Guy with great momentum. Might Guy did not panic, but instead focused his attention on the surroundings, carefully guarding against attacks from other places. After facing so many great fireballs, Might Guy also knew that this ninjutsu was powerful, but it was easy to dodge, and what he needed to pay attention to was other attacks coming during this period. But to Might Guy's surprise, Obito did not take advantage of this period to attack him. When Obito re-entered Might Guy's sight, Might Guy found that there were 5 Obitos on the field. Did you use the clone technique to block your sight with the fireball? Might Guy thought about it and understood Obito's plan. The 5 Obitos ran away from each other, and Might Guy could not tell which one was the real body and which one was the phantom, until Might Guy saw that one Obito seemed to be running a little slower, and a strange expression flashed across his face from time to time. Found you. Might Guy gathered chakra in his legs and used the shave to rush towards the slower Obito, trying to catch Obito off guard and eliminate him. Just now, Obito used the shave repeatedly, and his legs were under great pressure. It was normal for such a problem to occur. Konoha whirlwind. Might Guy kicked Obito with a whirlwind kick. Obito seemed to have not expected that Might Guy would find him so quickly, and Might Guy was too fast to react, and he didn't even have a defensive posture. Just when Might Guy thought the battle was over, Might Guy's face changed drastically the next moment. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book bar published this novel for the first time. Because the moment he kicked Obito, the Obito he attacked disappeared directly. It's a trap. It's a clone. Might Guy turned around and looked for the real Obito. At this time, the real Obito had completed the performance of the fire release ninjutsu not far from Might Guy. Fire style. Great dragon fire technique. Obito spewed out a half-man-high dragon of fire from his mouth and rushed towards Might Guy at a high speed. At close range, Might Guy quickly felt the temperature of the dragon of fire. Might Guy had to endure the pain in his leg muscles and use the shave with only 2 superpositions to try to avoid this ninjutsu. But the great dragon fire is different from the great fireball. The dragon of fire can turn. Might Guy's figure disappeared, and Obito immediately controlled the great dragon fire to turn and continue to rush towards Might Guy. Water style. Water array wall. When the dragon of fire was about to rush in front of Might Guy, a wall of water rose up to block the dragon of fire. Miyu took action. Although Obito should have controlled the dragon of fire to stop in front of Might Guy, Miyu was worried that Obito's condition was too bad and the ninjutsu would go out of control, so he directly blocked the dragon of fire in advance. Uchiha Obito wins. Miyu announced the result directly. I don't know if his previous training took effect, or if Obito doesn't know how to play unless he's against the wind. He couldn't win in the previous 50-50 situation, but this time, when Miyu thought Might Guy had a much greater chance of winning, Obito still won. Okay, I won this time. Upon hearing the result of the battle, Obito laughed with a smug expression. He finally defeated Might Guy in actual combat, and he turned defeat into victory under disadvantageous circumstances. However, before Might Guy could say anything, Obito fell to the ground the next second and fainted. Obito, are you okay? Might Guy rushed over to check on the situation. Miyu appeared in the open space, grabbed Obito and said, it should be because he consumed too much chakra and his body is too tired. I'll take him to Konoha Hospital to have a look. Miyu left a shadow clone to continue to host the actual combat test, while the real body took Obito to the hospital. If there are no accidents, today will also be the 5th update. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, It means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96 Final Result. As Muyu expected, there was nothing wrong with Obito's body, but his chakra consumption was too great, and the use of shave multiple times in a short period of time caused his body to be tired. After all, Obito had just used the Great Fireball and the Great Dragon Fire, and had used several incomplete shave and clone techniques. Among them, the clone technique consumes the least chakra, but it is crucial in terms of its effect. After being treated, Obito quickly woke up, and seeing Muyu sitting next to him, he couldn't help but start sharing the highlights of his battle. When I was kicked by Kai at the beginning, I knew that if this battle went on normally, I would definitely lose. So I had to use ninjutsu at a distance even though I couldn't use shave next time. In order to save chakra, the Great Fireball looked intimidating but was actually not very powerful. I just wanted to attract Kai's attention and cover his sight. When talking about how he used the clone technique to deceive Might Guy, Obito's eyebrows flew and he looked extremely excited. I know that Kai has a strong ability to observe during battles, so I endured the pain and controlled my clone to show fatigue and exhaustion to mislead Kai. Obito felt that he could brag about today's battle for a year. There were too many details. The clones did not show differences at the beginning, but pretended to be tired after running for a while, which was more natural. Today's performance was indeed excellent. It would be great if you can be so calm in battles in the future, Muyu praised. He never hesitated to praise his students for their good performance. If he kept denying them because he was worried that his students would become arrogant and complacent, he would eventually lose confidence in himself. Muyu felt that if Obito were to be graded now, he would not be a second-rank scholar, but at least a third-rank scholar or a fourth-rank scholar. It's also because of your good teaching, Teacher Muyu. Obito laughed and showed a satisfied smile. Why did he say so much just now? Was it to show off? Of course not. What's the point of showing off to the teacher after winning against peers? He just showed his progress and got Muyu's recognition. If Obito were to say the only shortcoming of that battle, it would be that two people were missing. Nohara-rin and Kakashi were not present. If Nohara-rin was there, she would definitely praise his battle wisdom, and Kakashi, the cocky guy, would not dare to look down on him anymore. After confirming that nothing was wrong, Obito and Muyu suggested going back to the training ground to watch the battle. Muyu thought about it and knew that Obito definitely didn't want to give up the exam. In addition, Obito was indeed not injured, so Muyu took Obito back. When Muyu returned to the training ground, the first round of battle had ended, and half of the students were eliminated. The second round of battle had just begun, and there was still some time before Obito's battle round. In the second round of battle, Shisui's opponent was still a genin who graduated this year, and he still defeated him cleanly and neatly, and no one was surprised by this. At present, the students in class generally believe that only Might Guy, Akaya Obito, and Saratobi Asuma have a little hope of winning. Originally, Haizu Liadun should have been on the list, but because he had already lost, and lost very cleanly, everyone felt that Haizu Liadun would not be able to win again. Obito's opponent in the second round was a fourth-year student. Even though Obito was not in his peak state, he successfully defeated his opponent. The third round of battle was similar, but it is worth mentioning that Asuma and his teammate Haizu Liton met. When Haizu Liton's opponent was Asuma, everyone realized that they might have underestimated Haizu Liton's strength and Shisui's strength. Everyone recalled carefully and found that Shisui's time to defeat the opponent was almost the same, whether it was a fourth-year student or graduated genin. Could it be that Shisui's strength fluctuated? They thought it was impossible. The only possibility was that Shisui had a gentle personality and didn't want others to lose too badly, so he chose the strength of his attack according to the strength of his opponent. Haizu Liton was very fast, although he was not as fast as Might Guy who used shaving. He was one of the strongest students in Class A. When he wielded a kunai for close combat, Asuma suffered a lot. However, Asuma had been beaten in various ways in the past 2 days. He did not lose his composure because of Haizu Liton's fierce attack, and soon found an opportunity to counterattack and win. As the sun gradually set in the west, the battle on the training ground was about to end. The last battle of the 4-2 was the battle between Obito and Asuma. Both of them had experienced a hard battle before, and Obito was so exhausted that he fainted, but now he has recovered a lot. When fighting with Gai, Obito could only keep his distance and avoid his attack, but when fighting with Asuma, Obito rushed up and fought with Asuma in close combat. After so much training, Obito's taijutsu is no longer a mere drag, but it is not as good as Shisui and Might Guy, but he can still fight other peers. Obito suddenly rushed over and beat Asuma. He saw that Obito basically avoided taijutsu when fighting with Might Guy, and thought that Obito's taijutsu was still the same as before. As a result, when the fight started, Asuma was stunned, and Obito's head was buzzing after being directly kicked by Konoha's whirlwind. Originally, Asuma might have had the strength to fight, but his wrong decision caused him to lose the chance to win, and he was soon defeated by Obito. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar 6 = 9 plus book _ bar is the first to publish this novel. The last battle, Uchiha Shisui vs. Uchiha Obito. Miyu said the name of the final student. They are all from the Uchiha clan. The rich are indeed rich. Obito sighed. Although they are the same age, his strength is too far behind those family ninjas, and he was eliminated in the first round. What a pity. I had a chance to win, but I didn't expect Obito's physical skills to improve so much. Asuma felt a little pity. As a senior, we are really unqualified. We must practice harder in the future, Yui Kurenai said. When Obito walked to the battlefield and faced Shisui, he felt a little subtle. He fought with Might Guy many times, but almost never with Shisui. When he first practiced with Miyu, Obito was often hit by Shisui's training progress. Because what he needed to practice for a week, Shisui completed it in an afternoon, and Shisui was from the same family as him and was younger than him. Now Obito doesn't care so much. Although Shisui is strong, Obito is not bad either. However, Obito did feel that he had no hope of defeating Shisui today, as he was in average condition. Knowing that he would lose, Obito still fought with all his strength. Although he lost as he expected, he was not disappointed because he had fought with all his strength, and he defeated Might Guy today. Obito was in a very good mood, and as soon as the battle was over, he went to Nohara Rin to brag about today's counterattack. There are still 3 chapters to come in the evening. Chapter 97. If you have any problem, go to the almighty Miyu. Immortal B is much larger than that of Group A, so when Obito went over, Group B was still conducting a practical test. Obito glanced at the students watching and soon found Nohara Rin. Obito walked towards Nohara Rin with an excited smile on his face and said, "Rin, you don't know how powerful I was just now. Kai had the upper hand, but I defeated him." Nohara Rin turned around and asked in confusion, as the exam for Group A ended, "Yes, it's over. I'm the second place, and I only lost to Shisui." Obito couldn't help but tell Nohara Rin about his good results. "Finally defeated K, which means that you have made great progress, Obito. In the practical test when you were in school before, you didn't beat Kai." Nohara Rin praised with a gentle smile, feeling happy for Obito's progress. In the last semester, Obito's strength improved by leaps and bounds, and he even defeated the previous number 1 Uchiha Tuo, but Might Guy, who also improved by leaps and bounds, became a stumbling block on Obito's way to the number 1. With Might Guy around, Obito has been ranked second in the grade but never ranked first in the class. So when Nohara Rin knew that Obito finally defeated Might Guy, she was very happy for Obito, which showed that Obito's strength had improved a lot. Actually I had a chance to defeat him before, but I was always a little bit short," Obito explained with a silly smile, and he was very happy to be praised by Nohara Rin. If it was just pure paper strength, in fact, his strength in this battle was actually at a disadvantage, and it was mainly the strategy during the battle that allowed him to win the battle. "By the way, how is your performance, Zealan? Did you make it into the top 10? Obito asked. "No, it seems that everyone is so strong and has improved very quickly." Nohara Rin shook her head and replied, "Her actual combat ability is only at the middle level in Class B. How could she make it into the top 10? Is that so?" Otherwise, I will teach you to become stronger. Obito felt that Nohara-rin seemed a little disappointed with his own strength, so he said enthusiastically, "Okay." Nohara-rin thought about Obito's rapid improvement in strength, nodded and smiled. Obito took Nohara-rin aside, and then thought about what to teach Nohara-rin. Things like Shave, Dragon Fire, and Konoha Whirlwind must not be taught, because these were taught to him by Muyu, and he couldn't teach without Muyu's consent. Obito thought of the Great Fireball. Although Muyu had taught it, he already knew it. "Why don't you learn the Great Fireball technique from me, Zealand? Although it is a sea-level fire escape, it is very powerful." Obito decided to teach Nohara-rin the Great Fireball. First, make a seal. Obito quickly completed the Great Fireball seal. Then convert the chakra in your body into flames, and finally blow out a big fireball like blowing up a balloon. Obito gestured with his hands. Nohara-rin looked at Obito with a question mark on his face. "Didn't you understand, Zealand?" Obito scratched his head. He felt that he had explained it in detail, and maybe he was a good material for a teacher. "It's like this first, then that, and finally blow it out like a balloon." Obito gestured again. Nohara-rin didn't know how to evaluate Obito's teaching level for a while. She could see that Obito really wanted to teach her the Great Fireball technique, but it was a bit abstract when he taught. "Obito, thank you for your kindness, but I don't even know my own attribute now," Nohara-rin said helplessly. "Everyone in the ninja world is born with a chakra attribute. It will be easier and faster to change the nature of the attribute that comes with practice. Is that so?" Obito scratched his hair, a little regretful that he couldn't help Nohara-rin. He decided to ask Muyu how to teach people to become stronger. When he practiced tonight, the almighty Muyu Immortal would definitely be able to solve his problem. The plan to teach people failed, so Obito chatted with Nohara-rin until there was a commotion on the training ground. It should be that all the exams are over and teacher Muyu announced the results, Nohara-rin said as she looked at a group of people crowded in front of the bulletin board. "Alin, let's go and take a look." Obito took Nohara-rin to the bulletin board with great interest. Although he knew his results, Obito wanted to see if anyone would praise him for being awesome. But when he walked over, Obito found that the most discussed person was not Shisui, who was not even the first, but Ebisu, who just entered group last week. "You don't know what happened during the C group exam just now. Two people used the clone technique to confuse the opponent in the battle." "Oh, I know this, but this was not developed by them. I remember that it was developed by Ebisu, who was promoted to group A last time." "Yes, that's right, it was developed by him. I know this person. He looks quite serious at ordinary times. I didn't expect." Listening to the discussion of the people around him, Obito was confused, not knowing what happened, asking everyone to stop discussing the top two in group A and discuss Ebisu. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6=9 plus book _ bar released this novel for the first time, and Obito listened more and more outrageous. And later it directly developed into Ebisu using the clone technique to separate the cool sister in the battle to confuse the opponent. Obito thought that he didn't see any cool sister appear when Ebisu was fighting. Obito was still thinking about going to Ebisu to ask about the situation, but he found out that maybe he lost in one round because of his poor performance. Ebisu left after the exam and Obito didn't find him. After announcing the exam results, Muyu went directly back to his home in the main city, and the system still didn't show any pop-up window about the exam. After returning home, Muyu began to prepare to make magic mapo tofu. The biggest difference between the magic mapo tofu recipe given to him by the system and the mapo tofu he remembered was that soybeans were used. To be precise, it was meat made from the soybeans. Soak the soybeans in water, then put them in the broth and cook them. Then flatten the soybeans and season them with sauce to make the soybeans have a meaty taste, and finally quickly fry them to lock in the flavor of the sauce. The fried soybeans are then added to the mapo tofu, giving the mapo tofu another flavor, which is the magic mapo tofu. When Muyu finished, he covered the plate with a lid to add some ritual. Soon Kushina and Minato knocked on the door of Muyu's house. As soon as Minato and Kushina came in, they saw the cover on the dining table. which was not usually there. "Why is there a cover?" Kushina asked casually. "Maybe they are worried that the food will get cold?" "We have to cook earlier than usual today," Minato speculated. "Don't guess. You will know once you open the cover." Miyu brought the remaining 2 dishes to the table and said with a smile, "I'll do it." Kushina walked up quickly and opened the cover directly. Chapter 98 The idea of accepting a disciple. When Kushina picked up the cover, something magical happened. The moment the cover was opened, a red light was emitted. But when Kushina and Minato looked carefully, it seemed that there was no light, but the color of the dish was too bright red. Looking at the bright red mapo tofu, Kushina swallowed and said, "Muiyu, you didn't say to put so much spicy. It looks so spicy." She thought Muiyu just put 1 more pepper, but looking at the color of the mapo tofu, Kushina felt that the whole dish was mainly spicy. This dish is indeed a bit spicy, but it's not just spicy. There are also several flavors such as fragrant, hot, crispy, and numb. Muiyu explained. Minato heard Muiyu say that there were so many flavors, so he took the lead to pick up a spoon and scooped a part into his mouth. Spicy. The first feeling Minato had after eating the mapo tofu was spicy, indescribably spicy. He felt that Muiyu's spicy was particularly spicy for him. It was so spicy that Minato seemed to have gone to a world full of flames in a trance, with flames erupting everywhere, and it was extremely hot. But mapo tofu is not just spicy. Soon, multiple flavors burst out in Minato's mouth, making Minato immerse in the food. "Delicious," Minato praised seriously. After that, Minato quickly scooped several spoonfuls of tofu into the bowl and continued to taste it. Seeing that Minato was eating so eagerly, Kushina knew that the taste of this dish must be very good, so she also tasted it. It was indeed very spicy, but also very fragrant. Kushina even tasted meat in it. "It's really delicious." Kushina also quickly took a spoon to scoop a few spoonfuls of tofu. Although it was very spicy, it was so delicious that Kushina couldn't control her hands at all. After the meal, the delicious magic mapo tofu just now became the topic of conversation after the meal. When Miyu said the ingredients needed for the magic mapo tofu, Kushina asked, "Miyu, did you forget an ingredient? Isn't there meat?" Kushina remembered that she had eaten meat in it. "There is no meat in the ingredients," Miyu said affirmatively. "But I clearly ate something that tasted like meat." Kushina was a little puzzled. "I ate it too." Minato nodded. "It tastes like meat, but it's not actually meat. It's processed soybeans," Miyu explained, telling the principle behind it. "It's amazing. Soybeans can actually taste like this." Kushina thought it was amazing. Minato also felt that Miyu's cooking skills were unheard of and unseen. Soybeans can actually taste like meat. Because she still had to help the disciples train, Miyu quickly said goodbye to Minato and Kushina, saying that she would let them see the cooking process when she had time. Going to the South Forest, Miyu helped the disciples train on a daily basis. Shisui was practicing the impatience chlorid. Might Guy was training his body and getting familiar with the use of the razor, and Obito continued to work hard towards the introduction of the razor. When the training time was almost up, Obito asked Miyu, "Mr. Miyu, how can you teach others ninjutsu?" "Why are you asking this? Who do you want to teach?" Miyu asked. "My good friend Nohara Rin also participated in the summer special training, in Group B." Obito told Miyu what happened today. "I feel like I've explained it quite clearly, but Zealand still doesn't understand." Obito sighed. Miyu was a little speechless. Just as Obito just described, he felt that Obito's teaching level was about the same as Naruto's. Teaching people ninjutsu was almost the same as letting them take a look and then develop it on their own. Miyu did have some knowledge on how to be a qualified teacher. After all, he was a normal school student, and this was his major. But with Obito's current performance, Miyu felt that it would be useless to hand it over to Obito. "You should learn ninjutsu yourself first." Miyu tapped Obito's head with 2 fingers together. "Is there nothing the omnipotent Miyu can do this time?" Obito lowered his head and was a little disappointed. But Obito soon thought of another good idea. He couldn't teach Nohara Rin, and Miyu couldn't make him a good teacher, so why not just let Miyu teach Nohara Rin? "Teacher Miyu, Zealand's grades are not good either. I think she urgently needs your guidance." "Teacher Miyu, Obito and Muyu recommended. Hearing what Obito said, Muyu fell into thought. Currently, the system only has 4 positions for disciples, and only 1 is left. It is obviously impossible to give it to Nohara Rin. However, she can just be a real disciple, and the system will not confirm it. Muyu thought about it. There are 2 advantages to teaching Nohara Rin. One is that it can better stimulate Obito to practice hard, and the other is that there is a chance to trick Kakashi to become a disciple. Kakashi also has the potential of S level, and is already on the road to rapid growth. It is a good choice. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book _ bar first releases this novel. Then you go and communicate with Nohara Rin. If she is willing to come to my place to study, then come, Muyu said. Hearing Muyu's agreement, Obito cheered directly. He was just trying it out of a trial mentality. After all, he couldn't force Muyu to teach Nohara Rin. Sure enough, Muyu Immortal is omnipotent, Obito said excitedly. Obito was so excited when he thought that he could practice with Nohara Rin in the future. He couldn't wait to fast forward time to tomorrow and tell Nohara Rin the good news. The next day, Ebisu went to the training ground as usual in the morning to prepare for special training. Why do I feel like everyone is looking at me? Ebisu muttered, feeling the gazes coming from all directions. He received a lot of attention when he was the only one on the promotion list last time, but his performance in Group A was not good yesterday, so it didn't make sense that he would attract everyone's attention. After all, he was just promoted, and it was reasonable that he couldn't beat those people in the original Group A. Ebisu, I didn't expect that you look so serious on the surface, but you play so big behind the scenes. Shire Anui Genma hit Ebisu's chest and said, they are all students in class 6 of the 4th grade and have a good relationship. When Ebisu heard Shire Anui Genma's words, although he didn't know what happened, he instinctively felt that something was wrong. Let me see the enemy confusion technique when you are free at noon. I want to challenge my weakness. Shire Anui Genma joked. Enemy confusion technique? Ebisu vaguely guessed what happened, and his heart sank. Stop pretending. Do we still need to disguise our relationship? And now that everyone in the 3 groups has heard about it, there's no point in pretending. Isn't it just that you developed a more adult ninjutsu? Just admit it boldly. Shire Anui Genma said. Adult ninjutsu? Everyone in the 3 groups knows about it. Ebisu, who guessed what happened, felt dizzy and almost fainted. It's really not me who developed it. I just made a suggestion. Ebisu felt that his career in the ninja school was saying goodbye to him. There will be another chapter a little later. Chapter 99 Differences in Breathing Effects. Unable to hold back, Ebisu went straight to find Gangzai Tetsu and Kamatsuki Izumo. Brother Ebisu. Seeing Ebisu, Gangzai Tetsu and Kamatsuki Izumo greeted him enthusiastically. Although the 2 looked very respectful, Ebisu could not help but suppress his anger and asked, are you 2 spreading rumors about me? Gangzai Tetsu shook his head and said, how is it possible? Brother Ebisu, you have been a great help in preaching to us. How could we harm you? Yes, Brother Ebisu. Did you listen to the slander of others? Kamatsuki Izumo analyzed. Now all 3 groups are saying that I took the lead in developing your new technique of confusing the enemy. What's going on? Ebisu said with a dark face. We never said this. The 2 shook their heads. They just said that Ebisu's contribution was relatively large. Don't say these unhappy things, Brother Ebisu. I'll show you something good. Gangzai Tetsu motioned Ebisu to come over, and then took out a novel. This novel has played an important role in my and I's success in perfecting the art of confusing the enemy. I think you can also learn something from it, Brother Ebisu. Ebisu flipped through the book with doubt, and after seeing the content, he quickly closed the book and looked around. Ahem, this book is really good. I'll keep it for you for the time being. Ebisu decided to forgive the 2 younger brothers for the time being. By the way, come find me during the lunch break, and I'll see how your ninjutsu training is going, Ebisu added before leaving. As soon as Obito entered the training ground, he couldn't wait to find Nohara Rin. Zealand, do you want a teacher? Huh? Nohara Rin looked at Obito with a puzzled look. I mean, do you want to practice with Muyu teacher? Obito pulled Nohara Rin aside and asked, aren't we all practicing with Muyu teacher now? Nohara Rin was even more confused. Obito scratched his hair. and he felt that what he said was obvious enough. It's not training like this during the day, but accepting the teachings of Muyu teacher after class, Obito said. Are you asking me if I want to become Muyu's disciple? Nohara Rin summed up what Obito meant and asked. Seeing that Nohara Rin finally understood what he meant, Obito nodded with satisfaction. Muyu's teacher is very powerful. If he were to teach you, you would definitely become stronger soon, Obito said. Because Muyu did not allow the disciples to tell others about their master-disciple relationship, Obito did not directly say that he had made such rapid progress because he became Muyu's disciple. Nohara Rin certainly knew that Muyu's teaching level was very high, because Muyu often took their place in their class. However, Nohara Rin keenly felt that the power that Obito said might not just be a good teacher. Obito suddenly said such words to her, coupled with the changes in Obito in recent months. Nohara Rin had a guess in her mind that maybe Obito had changed so much in the past few months because he became Muyu's disciple. If you are willing, Zeolin, just go to a place with me after school tonight after dinner, Obito said. Will this not trouble you and Muyu? Nohara Rin did not agree directly, and asked Obito. No trouble, no trouble. Seeing that Nohara Rin was about to agree, Obito said quickly. He had already made an agreement with Muyu, as long as Nohara Rin went. In the end, Nohara Rin nodded and agreed. It was really good to have a good teacher to teach. She had a good impression of Muyu, and with Obito's strong recommendation, Nohara Rin couldn't help but be more curious about Muyu. How did Muyu teach that made Obito change so much in just a few months? When the get out of class was over, Nohara Rin looked at Muyu a few more times and found that Muyu's skin was very good, and then she didn't find anything else. Muyu looked at the reward for the lecture, noticed Nohara Rin's gaze, and smiled gently as a response. Complete a large class teaching, evaluation, A. Rewards, exciting Konoha Vagary Cyclone, Chakra Scalpel. The rewards are pretty good. One is Might Guy's favorite Konoha Cyclone series of physical skills, and the other is an advanced medical ninjutsu, which is also very powerful in actual combat. After class, Muyu first returned to the main city to have dinner, and then went to the south border forest to practice with his disciples. However, this time there were no longer 3 disciples, but one more, Nohara Rin. When Nohara Rin first arrived here, she happened to see Shisui and Might Guy practicing, and was a little surprised. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar 6 = 9 plus book _ first published this novel. Nohara Rin didn't expect that Shisui was also Muyu's disciple, which made her more curious about Muyu. When they found Muyu coming, the 4 of them greeted Muyu. Teacher Muyu. Well, good evening, everyone. Muyu smiled gently. Private teacher Muyu seems to be similar in school and training ground, Nohara Rin thought to herself. Although Nohara Rin and Muyu did not communicate face-to-face, they had communicated through Obito, so there were no accidents and they became disciples smoothly. Your chakra control ability is actually very good. Do you want to try to learn some medical ninjutsu? Muyu asked. He remembered that Nohara Rin seemed to have a good talent in medical ninjutsu. At the age of 12, she had already mastered the advanced medical ninjutsu such as Palm Immortal Technique. Medical ninjutsu. Nohara Rin thought about it, and then her eyes became brighter and brighter, and finally nodded. She felt that this was a good choice, and there were also well-known strong men in the ninja world like Tsunade among the medical ninjas. Tsunade is the idol of many ninjas in Konoha, and Nohara Rin is one of them. Let's learn the most basic healing techniques first, Muyu said when she saw Nohara Rin had an idea. The healing medical ninjutsu naturally could not only have advanced ninjutsu such as Palm Immortal Technique, but also lower-level healing techniques such as hemostasis. Since it was the first time for Nohara Rin to come into contact with medical ninjutsu, Muyu did not teach her directly, but talked about some theoretical knowledge with Nohara Rin. After waiting for the disciples to leave, Muyu practiced breathing alone in the south forest. In fact, when you reach the realm of Changzong, you are exercising every day when you sleep, but if you exercise extra, the effect will be better. Muyu is now very clear about the pros and cons of the 2 breathing methods. He usually uses the rock breathing because rock breathing is more effective in physical training, and flame breathing is strong in the blessing of fire escape and battle. He is making a breathing method training plan for his disciples. When it is finished, he will let the disciples practice breathing methods collectively, except for the newcomer Nohara Rin. Because these two breathing methods are not suitable for Nohara Rin, there is a high probability that she will not be able to learn them. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket. In addition, everyone seems to be more worried that the plot will remain like this. Let me explain here that it is still in the development stage. Don't worry, I am also accelerating time. There will be conflicts and contradictions, but the protagonist is not strong enough now, and he has been avoiding conflicts. Chapter 100 New Understanding of Muyu. After joining the South Forest training team for a few days, Nohara Rin had a lot of new understandings. For example, Muyu's strength. Although Muyu was a very good teacher in Nohara Rin's impression, Nohara Rin always thought that Muyu's teaching level was superb, and his own strength as a ninja was about the same as other Chunin teachers. Now Nohara Rin found that her idea was wrong. When Muyu taught Shisui's fire escape, the terrifying power of the fire escape made Nohara Rin feel that Muyu's strength was extraordinary. Although the ninjutsu class of the ninja school did not have ninjutsu other than the three body techniques, the students kept asking for it, and occasionally there would be Chunin teachers showing off their skills and showing other ninjutsu to the students. Nohara Rin had never seen a jonin release ninjutsu or fight, but she felt that even if Muyu was not as good as those jonin, he was still very strong among Chunin. Moreover, Muyu seemed to be very versatile, and he knew a lot of ninjutsu, physical techniques, illusion techniques, and even medical ninjutsu. In addition to Muyu's strength, after careful observation, Nohara Rin found that Muyu would be more relaxed when he was here than in the training ground. Then there was the matter of Obito studying hard last semester. Seeing Obito frowning and taking a bunch of questions after failing the running competition, Nohara Rin finally understood why she could always see Obito doing questions last semester. She had thought it was strange before. If Obito suddenly loved studying, he would look bitter and reluctant when doing questions. But if he didn't want to study, Obito did study every day, which gave people a very contradictory feeling. In general, Nohara Rin was quite happy about becoming Muyu's disciple. Damn, I missed it again. Obito sat on the ground and pounded the ground unwillingly. Just now, he almost succeeded in running past Might Guy and crossing the finish line first. It's okay, it was just a little bit this time. If you work harder, maybe you can succeed next time. Nohara Rin comforted him softly. With Nohara Rin's comfort, Obito instantly recovered, stood up, patted the dust on his body, and shouted with great momentum, "Akai, wait, I will definitely surpass you tomorrow." "Obito, your 35 questions." Muyu smiled and handed the test paper to Obito. Seeing the questions on the test paper, Obito's health, which was filled up by Nohara Rin, was deducted madly. He took the test paper tremblingly, as if he had taken the poisoned wine that was given to him for death. "Didn't you say that you love learning, Obito?" Nohara Rin saw Obito taking the test paper with a sad and tragic look, and couldn't help but smile and said, "Yes, I love learning too much. I feel uncomfortable if I don't do more than 10 questions a day." Obito nodded and said with tears in his eyes, "Then do you want me to add a little more?" Muyu asked with a smile. "Forget it. Although it's good to do questions, you can't be greedy." Obito decisively refused. Doing dozens of questions every day was enough for him. "Continue to practice." Muyu tapped Obito, who was adding drama with her fingers, and said, "In addition to teaching Nohara Rin medical ninjutsu knowledge, Muyu was also teaching Nohara Rin physical skills. Medical ninjutsu can also be used in combat, and it has a good lethality. If it is combined with excellent physical skills, the combat effectiveness will not be bad." Just like Tsunade. Because it was Saturday, Muyu went to Asuma, the residence of the Sarutobi clan, to practice in the afternoon. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't seem to be busy today. When Muyu arrived at Asuma's house, Sarutobi Hiruzen was sitting in the living room looking at something. "Sandame-sama," Muyu greeted. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded in response, then put down the information in his hand and asked with a smile, "Muyu, how is your summer special training going?" "It has been 3 weeks, and most of the time has passed. The vacation of the ninja school is from mid-July to early September, which is about a little more than a month and a half. It is impossible to let students have no vacation at all, and seamlessly connect from school to summer special training and then to school, so the scheduled time for summer special training is only 5 weeks. The students are very diligent in their training and are willing to learn. Basically, they have made progress. Miyu thought for a while and replied, I arrange tests every week to record their growth. I will go and get those records now. Miyu continued, and then turned around to get the record materials. Don't bother, Miyu. Just bring her along when you come tomorrow, Sarutobi Hiruzen said with a smile. But since you said that, Miyu, it must be a good result. It seems that Konoha will have another special jonin in the future. Sarutobi Hiruzen planned to wait until the 5th week to see how the students were progressing. If it was really effective, he would promote this special training as a normal practice. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. If Konoha was really affected by the war, Sarutobi Hiruzen might even cancel the normal courses for the 4th grade and let Miyu help them with special training until graduation. Old man, I think you are really blind. Miyu is so outstanding, why don't you just arrange him to be a jonin? Asuma, who happened to pass by, couldn't help but complain for the teacher. I feel that my jonin instructor is not as good as Miyu. Jonin is an important force in the village. It is not only necessary to be outstanding in one aspect, but also to be excellent in all aspects, Sarutobi Hiruzen explained. Apart from other things, Miyu's current mission quantity and quality are not up to standard. Far from it, he was promoted to a special jonin because he saw that Miyu had a super high teaching level, and her strength was also good, so she had a promising future. I think Miyu is excellent in all aspects. Anyway, you don't go to the ninja school very often, so it's better for Miyu to be the principal. Asuma felt that Sarutobi Hiruzen should step down as soon as possible. Hearing Asuma's filial speech, Sarutobi Hiruzen, whose blood pressure soared, rubbed his forehead and shook his palm to signal Miyu to take Asuma away quickly. Miyu understood, nodded, and took Asuma to training. When will this child grow up? Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed. Although as a Hokage, he really didn't have much time to take care of the affairs of the ninja school, and Miyu's teaching ability was indeed strong. Sarutobi Hiruzen would never let Miyu be the principal. At least the current Miyu was not qualified. Since the establishment of the ninja school, there have been only 2 principals. One is Tobirama Senju, and the other is Sarutobi Hiruzen. The establishment of the ninja school is of great significance to Konoha. Even with the improvement of the system, the principal of the ninja school no longer has the same power as before, but it still has some special significance. Unless a teacher really makes a great contribution, Sarutobi Hiruzen will only choose the next Hokage as the next principal. Sarutobi Hiruzen believes that when Asuma grows up, he will understand his series of practices. I got up late today, so I will post 1 chapter first. There are 4 more chapters to come. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.